welcome back to episode 2 of the Cinema Sessions, the Dubliner's Guide to Cinema with myself, Keith, and
Seamus. Nice to see you again, guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming back, or if it's your first time, welcome.
Yeah, all are welcome here.
Yeah. We don't discriminate.
No, we do. No, not openly. Yeah.
Still early doors yet. Like, who knows?
True. Yeah, we'll be talking about Braveheart soon, and we'll see how far our tolerance for other nations goes.
It'll be an interesting one to say the least.
Oh yes.
But so today we're going to talk about an underrated film in terms of the original trilogy of films, because there has been quite a few of them, but it's just focusing solely on the original trilogy. It's certainly an underrated one. Mm-hmm. So the film we'll be discussing today is Die Hard with a Vengeance, starring obviously Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson. Mm-hmm. And as I said, it's probably, in my opinion, it's definitely the most underrated out of.
Oh yeah.
It's when people bring up Die Hard, obviously it's classic. The airport, Nakatomi Plaza, like each situation is kind of classic, but nobody ever seems to bring up Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Yeah, we'll go with. This is a huge film for me. Like I was saying to you earlier, like I'm a little nervous because I don't want to just gush about it, but I essentially just think it's
brilliant.
It's the bee's knees, as the kids say today. So we'll just for the uninitiated, get on it. It's on Disney fucking Plus or dodgy boxes everywhere. Die Hard with a Vengeance is an action film from 1995, directed by John McTiernan and written by Jonathan Hensleigh. Starring Bruce Willis, Samuel L. Jackson and Jeremy Irons, the film is the third entry in the very popular Die Hard series. The plot concerns Willis's John McClane being set on certain dangerous tasks and riddles by Irons' villain, with Jackson playing an innocent bystander who gets caught up in the game. The film has a 7.6 rating on IMDb, which, if people are unfamiliar with IMDb, that is very high. That's very high. With a Metacritic critic score of 58% and an audience score of 7.8. While on Rotten Tomatoes, it has a critic score of 60% with an audience score of 83%. The film was the biggest box office hit of its year, which I find very interesting, taking in 366.1 million, how times change, at the box office. And as far as I can tell, I think we both agree, enjoys a very favourable reputation in the public consciousness. And on a personal note, what has happened to Bruce Willis in recent years is so existentially terrifying that I may break down in tears before the end of the episode. And I truly mean that sincerely.
Yeah.
He was one of... I assume people have similar relations with movie stars today, but I find it hard to imagine it's exactly the same as we had.
It's not. It's definitely not the same, because if you look at like what
Timothy
kind of
Chalamet,
like no, but you're looking at like the Schwarzeneggers, the Stallones, they don't exist anymore.
No.
Like, for instance, like you have the remake of Running Man coming out with Glenn Powell. Like, I mean, Glenn Powell, you're really going to nail your hat to him? Like,
I know, yeah. Do you know what you're getting when you hear that he's in the film, you know?
Exactly. Like, at least with these kind of 90s action heroes and 80s action heroes, like, you knew what you were getting.
Yeah, the relationship we had with them
was the new Bruce Willis film is out.
Yeah,
again, it's hard to say for sure, but I just can't imagine that people are like,
oh, the new Timothy Chalamet is it?
Yeah, how I picture the conversation going is there's a new film out. Oh, that Timothy Chalamet is in it.
It's not the Timothy Chalamet film, whereas you say the new Bruce Willis is out.
Yeah, well, what is a Timothy? What are you getting into with a Timothy Chalamet? It's not to knock the guy. Like, I actually quite like him. But I had a similar conversation recently with that film. It's either called Ford versus Ferrari or Le Mans 66.
Depending on where you are in the world.
Yeah, and I mentioned it, and I think I kind of stuck it on the TV or something. I was in someone's house, they had a new sound system, and she was like, Matt Damon and Christian Bale are in this. And I was reminded of like the relationship we used to have with people. Like, these big movie stars are in this film, and I haven't heard of it. And something went fucky with it. But yeah, as I say, I know I normally do a little joke there, and that was somewhat kind of dark humor, but it was very upsetting when that news came out, although we'd all kind of suspected it for a while. Yeah,
because I mean, you saw it like towards the end when he was still promoting films or whatever, he'd get confused. And
yeah, it was just in case anyone doesn't know, for the last few years, this is 2025 because you never know when people are watching this. There were several years where Bruce Willis seemed to have, it was weird, like, has he given up trying in acting? He was making a load of very low rent films with very low effort, and he didn't seem to be performing well in them, and it was as if he'd forgotten to act and all this. And there was talk of, does he just not care? There was whispers of, is he suffering from some kind of mental illness, or he was ultimately revealed to have dementia. And I am not being funny when I say I don't know. Do you call that a disorder or an illness? I don't know. It's definitely a brain disease. And this
it was originally aphasia, wasn't it? And then
I heard all sorts. A friend of mine, he kind of half worked. He works in the industry. He wouldn't be someone people would be familiar with, but he had heard from someone like an industry guy in the States who was like, "He's not sick. He's an asshole."
No, yeah.
And then it turned out no, and like it was one of those things where you kind of didn't want to believe it, but you're like, come on, what's going on here? Because I saw him in a few films, like an Ed Norton directed film, where I was like, he's not getting paid $1 million for showing up for a day for this. Like he's probably trying, but there did seem to be something kind of off about it. And again, to bring it to this, if you see him he was the king of the fucking world in 1995.
Oh yeah.
The movie stars there is no equivalent today of like that kind of a movie star that Schwarzenegger and Stallone were. It was the era of the movie star. Like Tom Cruise was at his height. And it was apparently when they were doing The Fifth Element, but it just speaks, which I think was the same year. No, sorry, Fifth Element's 97, but it was around the same time. And a guy said he was working in publicity on The Fifth Element, or he was working, and he said I think it was a recording session for the dialogue replacement after the fact. And he said he walked into a room and Bruce Willis was sitting on a stool eating an apple, and he couldn't even verbalize it, but he just said, and it was like, he was the coolest fucking guy I'd ever seen in my life. He was like, I am Bruce Willis in 1997, and I know I am Bruce Willis in 1997, and I'm eating an apple on a stool. And there's something this is maybe psychologically, there's something I find thrilling about that. Like there was a guy who like, he knew he was Bruce Willis, man, and like whatever, because apparently he could be an arsehole. But there's something where you go, man, I kind of like that. Like the billionaire who knows how to spend his money. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like the guy who's like, I'm king of the fucking world and I know it. And that's what he was. And in this film, to bring it back to Dyer, he is fucking brilliant in this. He is amazing. Yeah.
Like, so obviously the film opens up, which is interestingly enough, so the film opens up and it's just like a kind of typical summer's day in New York. So it's different shots. It seems like it's early morning. People are coming from work, subways.
Yeah, everything seems calm. The Love and Spoonful song, Summer in the City. Yeah. And I don't want to just gush about the film, but there's something about the opening that, because New York is a character in this film.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
And it so sets the scene of it's a normal summer's day, which has that kind of atmosphere to it of summer is great. There's a kind of freedom in the air. And the way it sets up New York is this vibrant, alive place, which is so important for the rest of the film. And then, as you say, kind of unusual for a big budget film, like in the kind of unexpectedly, it isn't like hot town, summer in the city, boom. It is just in the middle of like a line of the song.
The way it happens is because the way the scene or the sequence is kind of done, it's everything's calm and it's not, they're quick shots, but they're not bang, bang. Yeah. And then it's just bang. It doesn't lead to anything. It's not a big part in the song. It's not any.
It's out of nowhere, and it's the way it's filmed, like the technique in it. I will keep coming back to this, but like it's so unusual. It's just various sizes of wide shots, which is and it pulls out in the middle of the scene to like the widest kind of an angle, which is very unusual. Like normally it's
forgot to turn that on.
Anyone watching on video, we forgot to turn on the light thing. It's the technique. We'll get into John McTiernan later, but the technique of it, it's what I love about it is it's satisfying in a big budget movie way, but it's not done in the typical big budget. Which the second one, which I also adore, that's very much of the era. Rennie Harlan did a very competent, more than competent, kind of technical director of the time. This is something else. This is what pushes it into like battling with the original territory. I still think just to get it. Now, the first one is better, but this one is a masterpiece as well.
Yeah. Now, do you know what I think is very funny, and I don't want to dash your dreams here, but I've seen this film about 7 times, let's say, right? Uh-huh. And the only one in the Die Hard franchise that I've seen more is the first one, because every Christmas we watch it. And I'm not getting into the debate whether it's a Christmas film or not. It's not. But So every year we watch that. That's a tradition, like, do you know what I mean? So I've seen that a hell of a lot more. But I do not remember the opening sequence up until I watched it this week.
Really?
It did not, like, watching it, I remembered it. But it didn't, when I look back in it, I was full sure that this film opened up with him in Harlem with the sign.
Well, that scene is an attention grabber, to say the fucking least.
Because that's the way I thought it was such... Because I remember going into it. Because you know the way, like, if you've seen the film before, when you're doing something like this, you're kind of already thinking, oh, well, I'm going to talk about this and I'm going to talk about that. I was already going in for this cold open. It was the best cold open ever. And, you know what I mean? And then I was like, hang on, I don't remember this. You know what I mean?
Well, it is non-narrative. I think the reason is this just came out at a time when I was like, okay, watch it again. Watch it. It is something. It is one of those films I just watched some video 10 million times or something like. And I do remember, just again to give some context to like how you'd watch these films. This was from an era. This is an adult action film. This is from an era. I remember calling up the local cinema because it wasn't. It was just like a 2-screen cinema. I remember calling them up, and it was like, you know, frightened like 11-year-old. I wanted to see, if I remember right, I wanted to see Judge Dredd for some fucking reason. And the guy, they were obviously practiced on the. I'm pretty sure it was Judge Dredd though. Maybe it wasn't the same year, but I called him. Oh, you guys are gonna show Judge Dredd. And the guy's like, oh, we wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole. And because he didn't say yes or no, I freaked out and hung up. Yeah. But I remember he said we wouldn't touch it. But I got my mom to call up then later. And she said, no, they said they're not showing that, but they're showing Die Hard, which is much better, he says. And now the reason I wanted to know was Judge Dredd was rated 12, so I could have gone to see it. This is a huge budget, the biggest film of the year, and I couldn't have gone to see it in the cinema because it was rated 15s and I was too young. That used to be a huge thing. I remember up to Men in Black, you'd be like, is it at 15 so? Can we go see it?
Yeah, I remember.
Is it okay?
A funny kind of aside, I remember I was 10 years of age, right? And I was going with my sister's friends, so they're 3-4 years older than me, so they're 13, 14. And my other two part is 12s. Right. Now I was quite a short 10-year-old, like, do you know what I mean? So the whole time going in, right, it's like, if they ask you your age, you say 12, and I'm like, yeah. And then we get to the counter, and I'm on my tippy toes, and he goes, what age are you? And I went 10.
Oh fuck!
And then none of us got in.
Oh geez, yeah, it was a different time. Like I remember, now this film is actually not quite as violent as the first two, although I don't think that's any kind of a studio thing. But I remember years ago watching the fucking Bodyguard, the Whitney Houston and like, I was surprised. It was like, there's fucking effing and blinding in it, and I don't know that there's any nudity in it, but there's a one tiny 5-second bit of violence in it, and like someone's fucking head nearly gets blown open, and I was like, today they would just like, we don't need it, and like they didn't need it, but I was like, I'm glad it's there.
Yeah.
But it was a different era of like the huge budget, like a film like Dune, for example. I'm sure people watch that and you go, oh, you don't need it to be super violent. Like, look, and it is, like, the action and that's fine, it's very impactful, but there's something about a film like this, especially with the effing and blinding, which we'll get into with Sam Jackson and the scene that you're alluding to. But yeah, that opening for me is a special opening because I used to dream about weather like that. I was like, imagine being in a place where it was fucking red. I to this day, when I talk to people and they're like, oh, I like the weather in Ireland, it's too hot where I come from, I'm like, oh, it's fucking wasted on you, man. I love hot weather, even if I'm a bit too warm. I love hot weather, and that just really was evocative for me. And again, it's just because I watched it so many times, but I remember I found that song on a cassette tape and I listened to it a lot. That opening is very big for me.
So obviously we moved from the opening then to a scene in the police
station.
So basically, obviously they're investigating or panicking or rushing around because the explosions that they're going off. And the phone call is received from Simon.
Brilliantly done. The Jeremy Irons, nice silky voice.
See, I mean, I love Jeremy Irons, but I don't know, his accent seems it changes a lot. Yeah,
it's obviously kind of theatrical. Some of it is, I think, there are bits where it's like he's supposed to be putting on an accent, which I'll go into later. I find some of it kind of funny, and I assume it's on purpose. But I just love his phone performance, and there's something very mysterious about a guy you call up, and the way, because it's very chaotic in that police station. There's 3 cuts in the whole scene. Like the camera just moves through. And it goes to something that I noticed a lot on this one. Every character is given just enough little moments that they make an impact. So like she seems to be kind of a secretary character, and she's trying to get the chief's attention because she's picked up the phone to this guy. There's a moment in it where she taps him and he's like, not now. And she plays it as in like this socially awkward moment of, I kind of have to stop him and interrupt him. And it just makes you remember her. And they give her a good line later. She says to Bruce Willis, remember, like, beer is normally taken internally, John. And like, she doesn't ever come back, but like, you just pick up on things. And they just take that little, like, they didn't have to. I'd say most people would be like, come on, let's cut to the chase. She'd just be like, Walter, you better take this. But they don't. They give it that little split second, you know.
That's it. So obviously Simon rings up. The captain gets takes the phone call, and he's requesting John McClane immediately.
Yeah. Can I just mention his name, Larry Brigman, the guy who plays the Willis's commander. I've never seen him in that. Apparently he's on a soap or something like that. He's fantastic. I love it.
He's very good in this film.
And I remember there was another, speaking of existential dread, I remember 15 years ago looking up the film and seeing he had turned 70. And in my mind, 70 is when you're old. Yeah. And I remember back then going like, oh, Jesus Christ, where's the time going? And he's still alive. He's pushing 90 now or something. Yeah. So God knows if I'd have done that today, like what the fuck I get. But again, it's a Hollywood satisfying thing of this chaos in the police. And it ends with like kind of a button moment where he's like, where's McClane? Well, I doubt you're going to find him on church. And he goes, well, find out what rock he's under and kick it over. Now, you could say that's kind of a cliche, like, you know, but it's so fucking well done. Yeah. Like the way he performs it, the way the camera kind of glides in.
The thing that I think, and I think it said, especially in the original trilogy, I wouldn't go to the point where it's so self-aware. Mm-hmm. But it's definitely leading into the kind of the angry captain, these kind of tropes that you see in these kind of cop dramas, cop action films. Do you know what I mean? So that's always been a success story for me in any of the Die Hard films, but even specifically in this one, is because you kind of know, you've kind of seen these characters before, but they bring a freshness to it. And
there's a realism to it, I find, because even one of the reasons I fucking loathe the fourth film, even though it's not as bad as the fifth, and some people like it, and I'm
not against it.
I as a Die Hard film, I find that there's no other word than offensive. But I watched like the first 10 minutes last night. I'm like, look, it's fairly well put together. If it was called like Transporter 3 and it was Jason's, or it was just like a Bruce Willis film where he plays a different guy, I wouldn't have a problem with it. But it's all like blue light and fucking real stock kind of visuals. This film looks like reality. Like it just looks like that. It looks like a police
especially
station.
Like the one in the police station, the chaos of it. There's nothing.
Yeah.
There's no mass. Like yes, obviously there's long tracking shots and stuff, but it's to encapsulate the chaos of the situation. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and the way that guy plays it, he just plays it as like a guy doing his job. Yeah. Because in the scene, we'll get to it because they introduce Bruce Willis, but in the next scene, and it's brilliantly layered in because it pays off layer. He's like, oh, we finish off the roster of how we'll like. They're just people who woke up on a given day in New York, and then they're like, oh fuck me, what's this bullshit? And that's the key strength of what pushes it for me into masterpiece territory. Is you just feel like we've all had a day where like you just wanted to fucking relax, but chaos erupts. And this is that on like an epic scale of, because then we're introduced to Bruce Willis in that next scene, and
it's very like it's obviously because you kind of you're expecting a somewhat dishevelled version of John McClane to appear based on things that have been said previously, and you get exactly what you want. He's hung over the bits. Yeah, he hates the fact that he has to do this. Like, I mean, he does not want to be there. At the end of the day, we've seen the previous two, he's a hero. You know, he's a good soul. But you can tell in this that he does not want this shit today.
Yeah, they layer it in. He has a bad fucking hangover, and he plays it like he's a hangover, and he's just barely hanging on. Oh, yeah. And I will say we have to get into like perhaps the key auteur behind the film, though I have a big soft spot for the guy who wrote it, Jonathan Enzi. On the commentary track and a lot of talk about it, John McTiernan, the director, talks about he is such a smart fucking guy, and you see it because he's very into the nuances of it, and he says explicitly Bruce could come off as very smug and arrogant, but he said when he's playing an underdog, all of that just reads as an indomitable kind of a spirit.
Yeah.
Because you can see it in the fourth film. There's a bit where he's like making fun of Kevin Smith's character. He's like, hey, dump truck. Or there's a bit where he's like, yeah, I don't know this computer shit. And it just comes off as like an insecure guy, which, you know, I don't want to knock him because I love him, but it could be Bruce Willis like, you're not, I'm not, just because I'm old, man, doesn't fuck at me.
Yeah.
Whereas in this film, he's just hungover, so even bits where he is like kind of being a dick, it just comes off as like,
we've all been there.
yeah, it's like, don't fuck off, man. I've a hangover. Like,
exactly.
like where he's on the phone to Simon and he's even like, he's making fun of his stutter, which is kind of socially unacceptable. But he's just a guy who's like, look, it's roasting hot. I'm fucking dying of a hangover. Come on down here and we'll fucking.
We'll sort this out.
Yeah, and in that scene, like the guy says to him, you look like shit. And like, yeah, he does. Like, there's no vanity in it. Like, he does, which is what makes it so fucking cool, I think. I just think I adore that scene of them it's just in a shitty police van. And the dialogue, the way the other actors play it, they're all given a little bits of business. The Native American actor is Graham Greene, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Colleen Camp, who if you want to see a good looking woman, watch the complete piece of shit Game of Death, the last kind of cobbled together Bruce Lee film. She's in that and she is sensational, folks. She's kind of dressed kind of dowdy in this. And then there's the other guy who, the bit with the badge. That scene sets up like 3 important things for later. The dump trucks. Just the way it's done is like Jesus. Yeah, like Jesus Christ, 14 dump trucks. Oh, it's John's landlady cleaning this apart. And then you can kind of get McClane the way they layer in how clever he is, because he's like, oh, this insurance fraud. And he's just like, I've seen that shit before. And they don't make a thing out of it, but you're like, yeah, he's a clever guy. Yeah, he remembers that shit, you know. And the badge number with the lottery number. Oh, fucking brilliant. Because like, how would you expect that to pay off? And then the way it does, and it's
fantastic. Yeah,
it's brilliant. And the way he's not jacked, he's not ripped.
But that's it. That was always the winner for me in the Die Hard films, is because you looked at Stallone and Schwarzenegger and the things, and they are glorious specimens of masculinity. And then you see John McClane, a pair of slacks and a vest.
I know,
and he doesn't take his top off. Yeah. It's not you can see that he's not massive. Like,
he doesn't. He gets out of breath. But he's just like, I'm not.
And he looks tired, but that plays it. That plays to it. Like,
that's what
in
makes
any
it
of the
so
Die Hard,
cool.
when he's wrecked and he's just like, oh. Yeah. Because and you actually see him. He might be the only action hero of the era where you actually see him after a fight go, fuck.
I know. I'll get into some of it later, but the way he physically plays it, like I think it was his diary, because Kevin Smith famously made a film with him, and he was Bruce Willis was a real dick, and he said, I heard stories about what a dick he was on Die Hard with a Vengeance and all this. Look, there's no reason to treat people poorly, but he's so fucking good in this.
Yeah, you forgive it.
Yeah, you just go, I'm sorry, like, you know.
Obviously, the phone call and when they end up in the police van is John McClane has been requested to go to Harlem. But just before this, we see the introduction of Zeus, Samuel L. Jackson's character.
Yes.
As he speaks to his 2 nephews, I believe.
Yeah, the 2 nephews, I actually have an interesting tidbit if anyone's watching at home from this particularly obscure Laserdisc I got from Japan, but I'll go to that later. Yeah, they're his nephews.
They're his nephews, and so obviously he's it tells a lot about Zeus as the character, as a man. Like, he's wondering why they're not in school, and he's explaining why they need to go to school. And then obviously the first piece of why do we go to school, so we don't have to work for a white man or trust.
He says, who do we not want to help us? And they go, white people.
Man. Yeah, so that's the kind of forced introduction to the kind of racial undertones. Like,
I didn't see this film in the cinema, most unfortunately, but I do remember I watched it I'm pretty sure with my next door neighbours, who were the O'Garas, and a fairly famous Dublin footballer, Owen O'Gara, was probably there because they lived next door to us, that family. And I just remember as soon as he showed up, it was like, whoa, oh my God, he is as good as Willis is. Samuel Jackson is, he is like, we talk at the end about the non-submersible, he is.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%.
He makes this film
it's one thing, like, and I suppose it'll become clearer as we go further into the film. If you look at Die Hard 1 and Die Hard 2, right?
Always a black sidekick.
No, it's true, but it's a sidekick.
Yeah.
Whereas in this, I don't think Zeus is a sidekick. He is equal. Very much equal to John McClane in this.
Yeah, I still remember the laugh of like disbelief and excitement we had when he said, "Who do we not want to help us? White people." And it's hard to explain because apparently Lawrence Fishburne was up for that role, and I cannot imagine. It probably would have been funny, I guess, because it is a funny kind of big. But then
the thing is, if I saw Lawrence Fishburne in that role, I would not be able to distinguish that from what's his name in Boys in the Hood.
Oh, what's his name? Thaddeus, isn't it?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Because he's very much. I'd go as far as to say, whereas I don't think it's certainly not played this way that Samuel L. Jackson is anti-white.
Yeah.
Lawrence Fishburne in that film very much is.
Yeah, it's.
I don't think I'd be able to. If Lawrence Fishburne was in that.
There's something more crowd pleasing about the way Sam Jackson. Like there is something nearly cartoonish about Sam Jackson. Yeah, there's an inherent humor. Yeah.
There's a humor to his delivery. Like it's similar to like if you look at Pacino in certain films, people watch it for the
that kind of bombast.
That's when you watch Sam Jackson. Like and he's masterful at it.
Yeah, it's apparently the story was. I think I heard Tarantino tell this story was apparently Fishburne, for the fact he said no, apparently he was like, no, we want more money. And apparently the people at the studio were like, well, we've heard about this Pulp Fiction film. There might be an actor in that who would be suitable. And as soon as they saw Sam Jackson and that, they were like, fuck off, Fishburne. And that was this was the film that solidified Jackson. Like he would have had a great career anyway, but he had some fucking couple of years. Like he had Pulp Fiction, this, A Time to Kill. It wasn't a big hit, but The Long Kiss Goodbye is such a good film and he's so good in it. I think that kind of helped. And he had like a ton of fucking films. But like he essentially has had the career that he had and this was the catalyst for it. And it was Tarantino, and he'd know more than me, and he said it took The Matrix for Lawrence Fishburne for him to have the same career. Now, has he hit quite the same heights? Not to say he's not a fantastic actor.
I'm a big fan of Lawrence Fishburne.
He's amazing. It's just he's not as crowd pleasing.
Samuel L. Jackson is easily one of the most recognisable actors on the planet.
Yeah.
Probably more so than Denzel. Because like I mean, if you look at as far away as Asia, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
he's in the Avengers and they're massive over there.
Yeah.
Whereas I mean, I'm not sure Training Day was massive in China. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, well, he's just so brilliant. But the writing in it is brilliant as well. You have to give credit to that as well. What makes it? Because I was thinking about this. So what's the character is action or whatever. What does he do? He's introduced as someone who's an issue with white people. Okay, I have to give special mention to the score by Michael Kamen. There's several like moments in this where there's like a reveal, and the way the music works in concert with how brilliantly it's filmed. And the first one we get is the reveal of what's on John McClane's sign when he stands in Harlem. And I won't say the word here because I don't want to be cancelled, but
I hate N-words.
Yeah. And I remember again like the like kind of like laugh of disbelief when we were saying, fuck. Because there's something so edgy, which in the good sense of that word, not in the bad, like when we were younger folks, when I was anyway, edgy was kind of like a good thing, or it was like something that wasn't necessarily negative. There's like a kind of a jolt because it's so inappropriate.
Yeah.
But there's no doubt in the character's face. He sees that and he immediately does the right thing. He says, get the police down here. Someone's about to be killed. He's not angry at him. He is just like, oh, this is bad. Yeah. This guy's in trouble. The audience,
it says a lot about him.
Yeah,
Zeus as a character.
Within, I think that's 1 minute from when the nephews walk in to that. What else do you fucking need? Like, and that is brilliant writing, very economical writing.
Now, it's interesting to point out that if you watch certain versions of Die Hard with a Vengeance, you will see that it has been altered. So I believe it's been changed to I hate people.
I think it's I hate everybody or something like that.
There's two versions I saw. It's I hate people and I hate everybody.
Yeah, I saw it.
And neither one have the same effect as...
No, fuck no. Well, I remember, we'll get into it later, but I saw it on a plane once, which is the only time I've ever seen the alternate version, because I think on TV here, at least the ones I saw, they always kept the original sign. Because he has the sign, I said everybody, and then you're like, why are these young fellas getting so riled up? But they loop the guy and he's like, fellas, Nature Boy here hates people. And you're like, geez, you're awfully worked up about it.
There's a hilarious part, right? So obviously Zeus is going over and he goes over and approaches him
Yeah.
And he's talking to him, you're about to get your head kicked in, like all this stuff. Like,
that dialogue is sensational.
it's brilliant. And then one of the funniest things that happens off camera, I don't know which one of them says it. All you hear is, what the fuck?
Yeah.
and then that's where you know they're on the way.
It's funny actually, you know, I grew up with a version. We didn't have the I hate people sign, but like in the UK, so just again so everyone knows, we are in Ireland, the Dubliners Guide to Cinema. We would get the UK cinema versions, and the UK was considered quite a big market, so they would alter films for that market. And they cut out a lot of the swear words for this. So I grew up with it being like, what the hell is that? Which actually I kind of got used to. There are some lines later that I'm like, okay. But when he says what the fuck, it still doesn't sound like the one I grew up with. I'm like, that's kind of new.
But I think it's hilarious because it happens off camera. So the camera's on.
It's so funny.
McClane on the left and Zeus on the right, and he's trying to convince him to fuck off.
Yeah. Oh,
and all you, what the fuck?
The way Sam Jackson goes, you feeling all right? And the way Willis, but like he is brilliant. Sam Jackson is what makes that scene 12 out of 10. But the way Willis acts it is fucking. Remember, he kind of starts yawning at him. But then he's like, "Sir, this is a police matter." He just falls into this kind of flat affect of like, "Sir, this is a police matter." Like very like, I just don't want to deal with this guy. Like, come on, you don't understand what's going on here. But it's like, maybe you don't fucking know what kind of trouble you're in, you know?
Then obviously the lads off the stoop come up and they start attacking him.
Yeah. Do you think now, I was watching it and I cannot help, and I hate that I do this, but I tend to, I kind of watched it through like the lens of what would this be complained about today? And I was wondering, is something that you could object to, not the sign, because that's obviously the act of the villain, but you could make a and I do apologize to everyone because I don't like getting into this politically correct area. I could imagine people being like, that's a bit racist, like the guys, just because there's automatically a street gang there. But now, there's no scene if they're not there. There's no scene because it'd be even more offensive if it's just like a bunch of middle class black people who decide to kill him. But I can just imagine, like, you know, it's the kind of thing that I'm like, again, to sound like about, they wouldn't do it today, but I was looking at it and I was like, that's the kind of thing they'd fucking object to. But it's just like dynamite entertainment. Like, it's an entertainment film, and it's fucking dynamite entertainment the way it goes, and the way it's played, and the way Willis played, and like how believable it is. It's like, look, I'm a cop. The guy did you hear about that store bomb with tellers an hour ago, and blah blah blah. And the way it's played, and how Willis pretends to be nuts. Like he's like, he goes, I am the voice of my own God. Like he's like, I suppose I should put in some effort to pretend I'm nuts. That and the way they shoot the confrontation when Zeus walks up, like this frame is so wide, and you just see this city street, and the city's alive, and it's fucking sensational. Like the whole thing, yeah.
So obviously after the altercation, where they assault Bruce Willis, John McClane, and Zeus takes the gun, aims it at them, and then they make their escape.
I do, just to mention, I remember laughing as well at they've that kind of moment where he's kind of bug-eyed and like holding the gun at the camera. Like it's just funny, but it's like, it's again, he's doing the right thing, and he's putting himself in harm's way to do the right thing.
And he's lowering his social stature within the neighbourhood.
I know, yeah. And then that next scene where they're in the cab. And
it's Jesus.
Yeah, it's I didn't time it, but it's just basically one long shot. There's no editing except for a cut to McClane at the very end where you're relaxed. And that is, I think, the one take that made Sam Jackson's career he's amazing in Pulp Fiction. He would have had a career. But he is like, Zeus, my name is Zeus. You have any idea what those guys... Every line he says, and there's no editing. Every line he says, he delivers it perfectly. It's so
perfect,
It's so perfect. And he's so, like, fucking amped up. And it's like, oh, chill out. McClane was like, oh, what's with this fucking guy? And he is fired on all cylinders. The fact his name is Zeus, don't fuck with me or I'll shove a lightning bolt. Oh, fuck me.
Yeah, it's great.
It's like a minute and a half in an invisible way. Like they do, like, you know, it's kind of popular now to do long takes, but you would not even know. It does not draw any attention to the fact this is a long take. It has this wonderful feeling of you're just in the car. But it only cuts to McClane where he's like, you got a problem with that? And he's like, no, I don't have a problem with that. And that, again, what an actor. And like, it's just brilliant. Like, it's a minute and a half, one take. They probably did multiple takes, but like, in a minute and a half, that was it. Like, he's a suit. And again, it's from the time the nephews walk in the shop to there is maybe 5 minutes. And I mean maybe.
Yeah.
And it tells you all you need to know and how much you want to continue watching this.
Oh yeah, you're locked in there.
Yeah.
Oh, you're just locked in. Like.
Yeah. You want to see more of this fucking guy.
Yeah. And you want to see more of the dynamic.
Yeah.
Between the two of them.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because I mean, obviously, because there's obviously scenes where maybe Willis steals them, but this is obviously Sam Jackson's scene.
Yeah.
But they complement each other in how they play them. Because when there is scenes where McClane's more the focal point rather than Zeus, Sam Jackson understands the assignment as well. Like, do you know? Yeah. Whereas Willis understands the assignment in the card as well.
Yeah. No, the way they just temperamentally and then intellectually kind of complement each other, like the way Zeus is kind of into the puzzles thing, and McClane is just like, oh, what the fuck?
Yeah. So obviously what happens now after the card is they faced with another puzzle from a phone call from. Yeah,
well, the scene in the police station again. This is. I love that scene as well, and it's the way they have the psychologist there, who is completely credible and just is really interesting. And is like, oh, this is why this guy's here. Megalomaniacal. Yeah. And it's so interesting because it's the kind of thing you're like, do you really need that? But it just makes it that little bit interesting. And I suppose now might be a good time to talk about how originally this was not a Die Hard script.
Yes.
This was written by, now this guy Jonathan Hensey, I remember in my little very socially awkward social group, was a hero when the DVD for this came out, because John McTiernan is an amazing director. It's the most boring fucking voice in the history of the world. And he's weird and esoteric, and he kind of talks about strange stuff. Jonathan Hensey seems like a movie geek, and he's super amped up, and he's real happy with. He was geeking on the film like we all were, and he's like, I wrote this as Simon said. So it was essentially an unrelated to Die Hard script that they shoehorned.
McClane.
They didn't even shoehorn, but it works well.
It works, yeah. Because there was talk of it to be maybe Lethal Weapon 4. There was talk of that.
Yeah.
Brandon Lee was to start as the cop.
Holy God. Interesting.
Like, so it went through a lot of changes before. It wasn't until Fox bought the script that they decided to, hang on, we can make this John McClane.
Yeah.
Because apparently, from what I've read, is like maybe the first hour of the film is essentially Simon Says.
That seems to be right, yeah.
And then when Fox bought it, that's when we'll get to it, but that's when the kind of film changes. You know what I mean?
And I'd imagine in the Simon Says script, the psychologist was more actually accurate. Whereas in the film, he's ultimately, they don't make a thing of it, which I find interesting, because he's a very credible actor, the way the guy who plays it, and you just kind of take him at face value. But in the film, he's proven to be essentially completely wrong, except he does say something like, it's not an alias. His name probably is Simon.
Yeah.
But ultimately, he's kind of playing them. You know, but just the way the dynamic of the scene and the way they just let it play out, like it's quite a long scene of just a bunch of people sitting in an office.
And then the phone call comes.
And then but before that, we have to mention my boy Charlie, the bomb technician.
Yeah.
I fucking just think he's sensational. And the way they give him, I think you have the name of the actor there.
Kevin Chamberlain.
Yeah, apparently he passed away quite soon after the film. But they introduced two things. They introduced him, who's a brilliant character, and then the liquid bombs are fucking, that's really great. And the way they set it up where he puts them on the paper clip.
Yeah, and he throws it.
And again, just perfect visual story, because you're like, Jesus, how dangerous is this fucking stuff? And the way it was like on it, and they have a tiny like macro close up on the fucking thing. And the way it was like, I'm going to wear that chair up your ass. Because he blows it up. And the way he goes, oh, like I said, I remember me and my brother thought it was hysterical the way he goes, yeah, like I said, very cool stuff. Because he's so enthused about it. He's like, isn't this stuff cool? And he's like, yeah, it is, but it's terrifying then at the same time. But then, yeah, as you say, the phone call comes in. And
the game kind of really kind of kicks into gear.
Yeah.
They're given that first challenge. What is it? They have to be
at the subway station. The first getting to that subway station isn't the challenge. That's where when we get to there. But there's some great kind of character stuff, and that stuff of where again the kind of the way McTiernan kind of insisted it be. That's the bit where McClane is like making fun of his stammer, and he's kind of like, oh, what is it? I'm running for cross dressing. Or he's like, why are you trying to kill me? And it doesn't come off. It comes off as like he's not being the nicest guy to this guy, but he's doing it because he's like, I'm tired of this shit, man. Come on, fuck off with this shit. And like, Sam Jackson's like, I remember as well the way we all laughed. He said, I'm not jumping through hoops for some psycho. The way he says hoops, and you're like, Brilliant. And he has to, if I remember right, it ends with him having to lie to Zeus about where they found the example bomb.
They found it in Harlem when they found it in Chinatown.
Yeah. And I just a special note, because anyone watching on video, this is my attempted tribute to the way Willis dresses in it. The way he's dressed is like someone throws him a shirt that they'd obviously just bought in like a fucking cheap shirt. Like it's just a shitty shirt. He's wearing his trademark vest and like chino slacks or whatever. And which they don't wear in films anymore. This is the scene right before the end of it where he puts on his shoulder holster, and shoulder holsters are so fucking cool. I really miss shoulder holsters in movies. I think this outfit he wears is like, it's so fucking cool. I just something about it. I'm like, the way that it just seems thrown together adds to the feel of like, this could have been me. Like I could have been rolled out of bed and you're just told like, here, you got to do some real shitty stuff. Like, bollocks. Like it's simple as you can relate to it, because like there's been times in my life where I'm like, oh, I'm not working tomorrow. Glug, 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 glug. Oh shit, someone's out. And you're like, oh, bollocks. I think this next scene is pretty famous. The scene by the
phone box.
Gray's Papaya, which again, the sense of New York that this film has, sensational. But yeah, so again,
the woman on the phone,
yeah. I love how they play that, because they're there for an important reason, but they're still kind of sheepish about.
They're kind of standing around like,
what do we do?
Get the fuck off the phone.
Yeah, Zeus has the right idea.
What is it she says? Oh, how rude!
Yeah, I never.
I never.
It's fuck me, and then Willis kind of scolds him, and he's like, "Yeah, fuck off! I don't need this shit." But then they lock in, and again, the line when he goes, "The phone was busy. Who you're calling?" The psychic hotline. And fucking brilliant. And but that, I just remember thinking that scene was so fucking funny, because he sets them this like riddle with like all these numbers, all these names really quick, and Willis is not that kind of a guy, and he's hungover, and he's like, I
gotta say it again.
The sax. And Samuel's like, shut the fuck up. Yeah. But the funniest bit is, and I don't want to just turn this into a gush session, but I can't help it, where he goes, just the guy and his wives aren't going anywhere. And he goes, well, what are they doing? And he goes, sitting in the fucking road. I don't. But it was so believable that he's like, because it's distracted because he's fucking hungover. He's like, oh, what are they doing? And he's like 3 seconds where a bomb goes up. Yeah. And there's just nice little touches if you rewatch it like I did, because so I bet Irons pretends, Simon or whatever pretends the bomb's going to blow up. If you listen to the sound mix, you can hear him on the phone going, because he goes, he goes like, boo, and he's kind of just taking the piss. Like, it's just nice little touches like that.
You see, Jackson jumps this way, Willis jumps that way.
Yeah. Yeah,
make a big hullabaloo obviously about it.
Yeah, he's enjoying making fools out of it. Brilliant. Yeah. But then we get into what I think is this film's most famous sequence. Actually, there was a video game that came out on the PlayStation 1.
I played it. Yeah, it's where you're driving.
Die Hard Trilogy. Yeah, I know. Yeah, and it is essentially. Whoops, sorry for everyone watching at home. I hit my microphone stand again. It is essentially this scene as a video game. So that's why. And this was always my favorite part of the film. So they're told you have to get to this impossibly far away place in New York, which they set up quite well. Yeah. I think it's simple, like it's a line of dialogue, like 90 blocks in half an hour in New York traffic.
That'd be triple that on a good day, something like that,
and then Willis commandeers a fucking taxi, and then we're treated to what I think is like maybe 10 of the best minutes or however long that scene is in action cinema history. I just think that scene is sensational. Yeah. The way Jackson is like,
and some of the lines, but and you can miss them. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like Samuel L. Jackson. Are you trying to hit people? Yeah. No, maybe that might. Maybe. Do you know what I mean? To be able, because I mean, when you're looking at these characters in the world that they're in, and it's such a well built world that you go with it. Like, do you know what I mean? So for him to have the sense of humor. And maybe somewhat of the fucking arrogance to be fucking rallying through Central Park and still get off a one liner like that. I know,
You know that just everything. And actually, funny enough, when I was the first time I drove a car after rewatching it, I remember the first time I went to New York after I saw it. When I was walking around, I had this sense of being in the film, and then this time when I rewatched it after a few years, driving a car after, I had that same sensation of there's some way that McTiernan filmed it that you feel he literally just puts my favorite bit in it is they're driving into the park driveway, and you can see out of focus in the distance because the camera's in the back of the car. You can see out of there's a really narrow gap between two trucks coming up, and the camera's like panning from Willis to, and he's like, and the thing is looming in the background, and it's coming up, and they're having this back and forth, and he's like, what's it? The final line is like, Zeus goes like, "Oh dear," and then it just cuts to a fairly straightforward but brilliantly chosen shot of it. Just having like millimeters of distance between the two trucks.
Not even because it does hit.
It hits, there's sparks on both sides. Yeah, and then I love the line of, I told you the park drive is always jammed. I didn't say park drive. I said through the
park. Yeah.
And that scene is, but anyone watching it, and this is it's an unusual moment that doesn't take away from it, but it's something that McClane does a lot in the film. There's a bit where they're driving through the park, and the camera kind of veers off and takes 3 or 4 seconds to zoom in so you can track that there is a cop on the road outside the park following them. And like for anyone who's never edited anything, like 3 or 4 seconds when you're in the process, like watching it, you don't think about it.
Yeah.
But when you're in a film and you're working with people looking over your shoulder, like 3 or 4 seconds in an action scene is an eternity.
Oh, yeah.
But he's very diligent about tying things together. He says it again, he's a very boring voice. I'm sorry, John. It's the geography of it. So you're like, he will not just do a cut from like, there's another scene later where Willis is on the cab's radio, and he doesn't cut to the radio. He pans and tilts down to it, and then he pans and tilts back up. Whereas most people would do a cut, and it just adds to that sense of this is a real place. Like people are in relation to each other in these places. And yeah, the way they drive through the fucking park, and it's like rock, rock, rock. Or there's a great, I remember again how much we laughed at the line, like, not even God knows what you're doing. And that whole scene, and it's part of it, I think, psychologically is, imagine just being able to drive wherever you wanted and you're completely morally justified. You can just drive through the fucking park. Like, what are we wasting time for? And and that is the moment, I think, because it's set up plot-wise that they're never supposed to make it. Now, they've a few other tricks. And it's just brilliantly set up because that's unexpected. So when they do arrive ahead of time, even though it's supposed to be completely unbelievable, you just kind of take it for granted. So it's Willis being just that little bit like, well, this is the obvious thing to do, isn't it? And they never make a thing out of it, but it's again his thought process, you know. And then they get into the city and they do the traveling behind the ambulance, which again very clever. Yeah. And they split up, and I still, nearly every day of my life, I say this line. So what they do is, Willis says, "I'm going to get on the train, you keep driving." And he goes like, "You do this, I cover your outfit." He goes like, "What if we both?" They were both fucked. But then the line I always quote is Sam Jackson when he's driving away. He goes, "My lucky fucking day." And the amount of times I've said that, because I was like, "Oh, this bullshit again." Yeah. And then... the Willis on the train. Yeah, like because it's so cool and it's so well shot because he just drops down into the sewer on top of the train, and it's not like you have to be honest. Like if this was Schwarzenegger or Stallone, that'd look really cool. They'd look really cool doing it, but this is just bang, hits the train, falls off. Yeah, he says it's a bad idea. Yeah, and I don't know why I always love the shot of him chasing after it, running down the streets. There's something about him in this film. He just he's just a guy solving a problem for his job. Yeah. And he doesn't want to be doing it. And he's like, they were very conscious about that because I watched some of the behind the scenes. They were very conscious to make it like, he doesn't want to do this. He has to do it. Like the first film, he had to jump off the roof. The second film, he had to jump out of a helicopter. Here, everything he does, he's like, I would rather literally be doing anything else. Yeah. Like, what the fuck, you know? The scene on the train, there's some lovely little touches there. Do you know when he's going through searching and there's one woman who like really screams and like lifts her legs up because she thinks he's trying to cop a fucking look or something like that. Yeah. There's nice little touches like that make it add to the realism. And apparently, you know, New York is full of these fucking lunatics who overreact and all this. And but that drive, I mean, we just have to spend another second to talk about how great that scene is because the drive and work, the fact it's just a simple yellow taxi cab, not a cool car. Because was The Rock the same year or the year after, and like that's cool. Like remember
the Rock was 96.
It's like a Lamborghini and a Humvee and a very different sensibility, and that's cool as well. But what makes this film cool is like that was the first car that came along. It's just a regular car.
Yeah,
taking it, finished with it now. It's not the hero car that they keep using. It's just when it's done, it's done. And the whole, so then we get to the scene with Sam Jackson in the subway station. Yeah. With apparently it was written. So in the scene, what happens is a cop sees him jumping over the pay stall.
Yeah.
And apparently in the original script, it was an old grizzled racist cop. But in the film, McTiernan, he's very young, he's frightened, and he's just a gobshite, probably racist.
Yeah.
And Sam Jackson again has that funny moments. Go on.
See this scene here. I want to know if you got this right.
Okay.
Have you've seen The Incredibles?
Yes.
Okay, so have you seen the scene where Frozone is in they're getting caught, the young cop is there and he's aiming the gun and he goes, he's after being in the fire. So he's dehydrated. So he's dehydrated, right?
Yeah.
So he needs to get to the water. So the phone, just the juxtaposed with the film. So the phone is ringing. I need to answer the phone. Frozone, I need a glass of water.
I never copped that. Yeah. I never copped that.
I know, so I only noticed it rewatching it now.
Right.
That's the exact same. They pulled that straight from Die Hard. Like.
Yeah, what I found funny as well was the way they play. Again, he shows up and the guy's on the phone and there's kind of this socially awkward moment of, like it's a little early for the phone call. Like if I kick him off, if it was like a split second thing, but again, it was just kind of a nice touch. And then the fact the guy calls him bro, that's what sets him off. And the cop then shows up and the way he's like, get him up.
But it's exactly like that in The Incredibles.
I'll have to rewatch that now. That's very good.
When you see it through the prism of, because and even the way he's talking. If you listen to how Zeus is talking and that, it's the way Frozone is talking in The Incredibles. It's so cool when you pick up on little things like that. Like
that's very good. Yeah. And then so Willis that was a nice touch in Willis finding in the police phone box and all that, and that's a very intense scene, like where. I don't know, was it intentional, but the way it was a mixture of liquid and the way when he's carrying it and it starts that sound design of it and it starts mixing, he's like fuck, and it's a countdown without it being a countdown, which again is just very, very clever. And I love there's a wonderful rhythm to all the sound effects. So the train pulls into this, so essentially Simon is like, no, sorry, both of you have to be there. And then we cut to the train, and the train runs over like a little thing on the tracks, and it pans over to a little thing, and the rhythm of it goes like beep, 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 beep. McClane throws it, it's in midair, and it has this little like rhythmic kind of do, 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 do. And just that little snap and rhythm, like the way they put the thought and detail into even a moment like now, Willis would have been killed by that fucking blast.
Oh yeah. So I don't think most people in that subway.
Yeah, they'd be brown bread. Yeah,
I mean the whole thing rails and.
Yeah, what's funny though is, and again when I said how times changed, like with the amount of money this made, 300 something, it was the biggest hit of the year. Today wouldn't be a flop. Well, a Marvel film that'd be a flop, but at the year time that would be. This was like the kind of scene everyone is like, in the new Die Hard film, there's a train crash sequence. This was like cinematic spectacle back then. Like it was in all the featurettes about it. It's very well done. It's done practically. But I just was like, how times fucking changed. Like, but how well it's done, the stunts and all this. And the way I love because Zeus is, again, he's trying to help people, and like the arsehole guy on the phone, he's like, duck asshole. He still calls him an asshole. Like, I was like, that's a nice touch.
It's just very well done, yeah.
Yeah, it's just Hollywood craftsmanship in the mid-90s. You know, they're very, so then, there's that great shot then of Willis climbing out of the, like he's laughing his ass off, he's climbing out of it. Like you can't beat, he's like Die Hard, that's, the name. And then we get into a really fun sequence, but I just want to talk about one moment in it where, they're kind of in the wreckage and they're kind of taking stock, and, he's like, something not right here. But this is what I mean, like when you go, how did he think to do this? Or like just the realism, like the way that they filmed it on real locations, and obviously it's Willis. There's a bit in it where someone goes, Lieutenant McClane, he goes like, he doesn't say yes, he's just like, I'm so tired, and he just kind of, and it just puts you in the reality of that, like a guy who's not, he can't even say yes. And this, like, when they fucking film these films on blue screen and all this, and like that fucking terrible Black Widow film. There's a scene in it where this is Black Widow. Rachel Weisz, who's like 5'2" and like 20 kilograms, is like she's in a blimp or something, and she's in the engine room, and she fires a rocket at it, and she just kind of goes. For anyone not watching, she just kind of casually raises the gun, pulls the trigger, and then like walks away. And I'm like, if she were in a place where there was an actual explosion, this scene would be pretty good, at least, or it'd have some kind of convincing element. Whereas with this, he still need to act, but he was in a real place, and he's like just been blown up, and the reality of the psychology of how he's acting, he doesn't say yes, he does this, and I'm like, that's little things like that make the film real and give it that edge of like, this is really happening to real people, whereas obviously it's kind of ridiculous. If I'm not wrong, it's the scene with the feds in the van after that, is it?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
What did you make of this scene?
I thought it was... So obviously, given the previous 10, 15 minutes, it's going to all go. But obviously, you can't keep everything up there all the time.
Yeah.
It's probably a different type of film if you are aiming to make it that high octane, if you know what I mean, and give it no levity whatsoever or no breaks. But I thought it was all right. I thought there was some typical kind of... where the fat cats, where the real... police types, the FBI and the CIA or whoever it is. And you get the feeling like obviously McClane doesn't respect them, anything like that, you know what I mean? I did think it was interesting. It was a funny moment where, because obviously they received another phone call in the presence, and it's a funny moment when Simon is able to name the people in the car, and are you still chewing your glasses because you're whatever, he says. And then obviously the phone call ends and we find out who exactly he is and why he has such a hard on for McClane.
Yeah.
So obviously, now I have to be honest with you, in terms of this film, I don't think it's that bad, but I do think, it's his brother. And that's why he doesn't like it. If it wasn't so massively done, this could have been just pure, what?
I was thinking that because I remember when it came out liking that, because I remember it was a kind of a debate at the time because they would just make these random sequels like Lethal Weapon 2, 3, they just kind of go. And I remember thinking, Die Hard 2, like I remember literally having this conversation, Die Hard 2 is good, but it just happens for no reason. Like 3 is good because there's a reason, like, you know. Whatever way they did it, it worked. If it happened nowadays...
But see, the thing is, that's what I'm saying, they tread that fine line. Yeah. Because that could be seen as just...
Well, to be fair as well, the way they do it is pretty brilliant. Yeah. Like, does the name Gruber mean anything to you? And there's like, again, like there's that little bit with the score. The score is brilliant in that scene because it really plays up the humor. And it cuts to kind of a new angle and Bruce Willis going like, rings a bell, And the way he acts with those guys, because they keep asking these stupid fucking questions and he's like, what the fuck is wrong with you guys? The way it's very subtly done, but the music kind of keeps it in the territory of, this isn't dull or it isn't boring or whatever. And the way it kind of snaps in then when it becomes a real threat, like the bomb in the school. I used to watch it on my brother. We always really liked that scene. The way he goes like, I have this itching, burning sensation between. I thought it was athlete's foot. Like, he just has no respect for these guys, and they haven't done anything to engender that respect. Like, you know, they've just shown up, and he's like, guys, I'm kind of busy here. Like, what's this fucking bullshit? You know. Then it kind of goes, and this is apparently where in the writing they were having trouble with. So, and it never occurred to me till I listened to the commentary track. The normal logic would be Bruce Willis is racing towards the school because the plot from there is that the terrorists say there's a bomb in a school. But he does like the opposite because that's the logic of the story. And I did find that kind of interesting. It doesn't bother me. And it kind of, to me, adds to the realism of it. Well, that wouldn't necessarily be where he would have to go. But it's kind of an interesting thought experiment. Like,
because what's happening is, okay, so we have another Simon Says riddle or whatever coming. So obviously you're made aware that there's a bomb in a school and we're not going to tell you which school it is. So the logical progression is to keep going, playing the game, and maybe it's revealed. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I presume there is a film actually, which I remember thinking, that's just Die Hard with a Vengeance, called 12 Rounds with John Cena, where I think they keep the gimmick going through the whole thing. And it could seem like kind of an abandoned plot thread, but the film keeps it going just long enough. And then when they cop on like this, there's something afoot here. I just think the way they
quite soon after this as well.
Yeah,
I just think it's the next.
Yeah, ultimately the way they do it saves it because it is essentially an abandoned plot gimmick. Like,
because it does change. The film changes.
The film changes, and it changes from this point. So this is the point, I should say, where we're introduced properly to Jeremy Irons as Simon Gruber. And
Simon Peter Gruber.
He is not just out to get McClane at all. He is. It's all a ruse. A perhaps slightly not completely logically sound.
It's not great, because what happens is, because obviously this film is so good up until that point.
Yeah.
And so as we were saying, so obviously Simon Says was the original spec script that was written.
Yeah.
And apparently a lot of the first hour of the film, which we're at about now, is pulled directly from Simon Says. Mm-hmm. So surely there is another half of Simon Says that we don't get to see.
Yeah, I pulled up, I found an interview with Jonathan Hensey where he said you could make the script today because it's so different ultimately. Now that kind of doesn't jive with some of the stuff they said. He does say on the DVD, the first half of this film is Simon Says, and I have to imagine that's true, but it obviously veers off.
I mean, obviously the only difference you're going to have to do is you're going to have to obviously introduce John McClane, and maybe in the original story you did have Zeus. Do you know what I mean? You did have a...
I think they did, yeah. It was just a different guy. Yeah. And it was like, it's such a great premise, though.
Because one thing, because obviously we go from the car or the van or whatever they're in, and it kind of pulls up, and the camera is just moving, and it's just revealed Jeremy Irons standing just right next to them, looking down.
Yeah, he's up there like master.
And then quickly you find out because where did the bomb go off? Where was the bomb meant to go off?
Yeah, Wall Street. Yeah. That's from. But again, the film moves so well. Like this is kind of.
You kind of forgive it. You do, because it is quite an abrupt. Okay, this is no longer the cat and mouse game. Yeah, it's we're robbing.
It does introduce like an interesting different. Like it kind of changes it up. I could kind of see the gimmick of that game getting a bit tiresome. So the fact that they change it up, I think you could. I don't know. I obviously haven't read the original script, but you could make the case that kind of keeps it interesting because like, oh, well, they're kind of going off in a new direction here while still kind of keeping some of the puzzle stuff. And the way they do the heist is interesting.
We're introduced as well very quickly to a lot of the kind of what you might say typical die-hard characters. Do you know what I mean? For instance, Targo, played by a guy called Nick Wyman. Yeah. He is so typical. He's the same as the fella with the long hair from the first one. Yeah, he's that character. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I did really like though how they introduce him in the picture, and then he's introduced like again one of these kind of long takes where he just kind of hops on a truck in the background, but the truck follows him. You're like, instead of going, oh, okay, I get it. You're like, oh, it's that guy.
Because obviously what's happened now is, just to keep on track with the film, is they're going off to play another game essentially. Yeah. And so the film kind of leaves them to it. And we're following Jeremy Irons' character and the big bads in the film as they kind of hatch this plan to rob the Federal Reserve on Wall Street, of which I wasn't aware that there was one. I wouldn't imagine they keep a lot of gold on Wall Street.
Yeah, they actually for some of my age they tie it in well, because for me Goldfinger, Fort Knox, and they reference Fort Knox like once or twice.
Oh, we're in fucking Fort Knox.
Yeah,
or whatever.
But again, it's very conscious. It was definitely conscious in the first one, so I'd imagine it was done purposefully here. They spend a lot of time with the heist, and McTiernan was like
the music here as well. Sorry, just
the Johnny Comes Marching. Yeah,
brilliant, because the music up until this point, as you said, it's all used very purposefully, like for the reveals and stuff. But this is just when Johnny comes marching.
I know, and it's great. It just gives you a real sense of...
Because all of a sudden, you're standing there with a fucking Eastern Bloc hat on, and you're like, yes! You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's very conscious, because as I say, in the first film, McTiernan, I remember hearing him say, I think he says it about this one in the commentary as well, but it was very purposeful that we wanted the audience to enjoy them successfully breaking into the vault or getting the gold. He said, you want them to stop because of what they're doing to the other people, but you can enjoy that heist aspect to it. And it's a really like it's cool. Like it's such a party kind of semi-plausible as well. Apparently the authorities were worried about it, but it's in the film you kind of go, I can see that.
What's it? Grand Theft Auto 5. The final mission, they robbed at the Union Depository.
Okay, really, yeah.
It's all the same machine. Yeah. It's all...
Yeah, I think I have a note even on our little summary here, but like the bit where Jeremy Irons, and I just read it as him taking the piss out of Americans because he has contempt for them when he shows up and he does his fake American accent to the guys like,
so
it's Wall Street, sir. A lot of money makers. And you're like, this is a guy who's like, I have such contempt for Americans. I'm not even going to try. I didn't see it as like an attempt.
And especially because the guy that he's doing to, it's so obvious to me that you would be questioning.
There is actually a moment though where the guy goes like, yeah, okay, because I guess he's like, what are the odds? You can kind of see him play it, but again, like, is that absolutely doesn't make it plausible? Complete? No, but I was like, at least they paid lip service to it, And the way they're all like these fucking Nordic gods.
They're clearly named Sven.
They're obviously
it's not American. It's not like it's Gerald or Harold. From Wisconsin, like.
And he just looks European, Jeremy. There's no. They all look fucking European.
And like they look distinctly Russian or distinctly Eastern Bloc, like. And they're passing as. And even because I know Jeremy Irons is kind of taking the piss with his American accent, but some of the other ones who are trying to soften their German accents,
the guy in the,
and they just can't do it. Like.
The guy at the police car who takes the bomb off Zeus, and the guy in the lobby of the bank later with McClane, they're just not convinced. The guy in the lobby, I think you could say that's a plot point because McClane sniffs him out, but the guy with he is kind of doing like, can I help you, sir? Which again is just kind of funny because it is like this European's contempt for America,
So obviously we're introduced to the likes of Nick Wyman and all, and then as they're taken out, I think it's one of the most, in terms of a character's death, because obviously one of the guys, he's with the shotgun.
That is hilarious.
They're coming in and he's like, bang. And then your woman just appears like a fucking like Freddy Krueger or something.
The way they introduce her, there's no dialogue. I forgot to write down her name, but I will say, that woman, I'm sorry, is sex on legs. Holy fuck.
She is so scary.
Yeah, she's
just terrifying.
Oh jeez.
And she doesn't have I don't believe she has a line of dialogue.
She doesn't know. There is something. Maybe I'm just too into crazy women, but I was like, oh my sweet Jesus! The way she rolls her hips when she walks, and I'm just like, madre.
The door's just opening and she's just standing there, and it's it's. Does she really have to do that to him?
Yeah, no, she's such a psychopath. Yeah,
because she does.
Yeah, like, that was actually a scene that was very heavily edited in the version I would have grown up watching. Like that scene was pretty truncated. I don't even think you see the neck slice, but certainly it just kind of cuts to the way Irons grabs it. I think he's dead, my day. But the way they play that character, like there's actually a little great gag. Remember where he's like freaking out and he's like, "Hey, front desk, come on!" And the guy's like, "Hey, relax, mate. Maybe you'll live through this." This year, like, whatever, man. And the way he's freaking out, like firing, he's probably some guns and ammo kind of a guy or something.
But it's clearly someone who's never experienced that in his life.
Exactly, and he just kind of bricks it.
So you can save your bullets. You can't even see the people.
The way that they take the time to do that, though, is great. Like, they weren't just like, all right, I used to break in here, right? How do we... They didn't just say, how do we make this as efficient as possible? They made a scene out of it, and they gave us, like... In a sec, even the bank manager, this kind of effete guy with the glasses, the way he's like, heavens to Betsy. If anyone, like these are memorable. Like they might
only have a line or two of dialogue, but you remember them.
But you remember them, It was just made by people who gave a fuck,
and we're at the top of their game. Because obviously we obviously talk about Willis and Sam Jackson and Jeremy Irons and all, but to the actors that we'll never know their names, those little just character.
Still great,
but you remember them.
Yeah, there's a few still to come in the film, So I think I like how the film gives some time over just to the heist because it is kind of fun to see them.
Because it's like 10-15 minutes maybe. Like,
and apparently they'd need 140 dump trucks or whatever. But the dump trucks come back in.
Yeah,
they were mentioned earlier seamlessly. The badge comes in because the poor fella in the bomb site gets killed by the guy who, again, doesn't speak English. There's kind of memorable about him. And then there's the guy who has, who comes back later. He's the cop who talks to Sam Jack. He's a fake cop. And he's one of Targo's thugs. And you're just like, oh, there's like, these guys don't all get on with each other. And this guy has contempt for this guy because he doesn't speak English and he's not as sophisticated as him. Just nice little kind of interplay like that. And then I think we rejoin our friend. Yeah, there's that good scene of with the Twin Towers in the background where McClane Sam Jackson are running, and there is, so sorry guys, this little disc I have here has a making of on it. It's a laser disc, a promo laser disc I bought in Japan because it was dire with a vengeance. There is actually a little deleted moment in that scene, and I'm ashamed to say that I've forgotten what they say to each other, but there are some little deleted moments shown in this, and they've bits that ended up in the final film that were edited, like they just the long takes, the camera rolls or whatever from the original shot. So it's quite interesting. But there's one deleted moment that I want to get into later. But again, I just love the way that they're out of breath. They're not running that fast. It's not glamorous. It's just them pissed off and they have to run. And he has that great joke like, let me guess, Rodney King, right? It's like, fuck you. But then this is...
Is this the milk jokes?
Yeah. That is... The way they do that is pretty brilliant in terms of making it like, oh, that's clever, without actually it showing you any of the details of how they did it.
But in the fact that McClane comes up with it as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there's 5 gallons in that, and there's 3 gallons in that, we need 4 in that, then we pour this, like, it's
he's eventually
really
kind of coming around, and the way, like this, she's like, shit, I told you not to open it. Again, we just thought that was the funniest fucking thing we saw, and the way, this is a bit where they do have the kind of racial tete-a-tete.
You wanted to you call me.
Yeah, but what I love about it is the look on his face when Wilson's like, no, I was going to call you an asshole, and he kind of goes like, oh. You see him kind of go, yeah, all right, maybe you were, but I remember how hard we laughed when he goes, because you're a racist. And there's just something inherently funny about
because he's going on as if you wanted to call me an M-word.
Yeah.
And then he goes, no, what? No, you're a racist.
But the way, again, like, I've never heard anyone criticize this film, and it is under talked about, I think, in terms of how popular it actually is. But I've never heard anyone criticize it. But the way he says, have I oppressed you? But it just seems to come from a place of, look, man, none of us want to be here. And he just kind of says it because he's like, oh, look, come on, man, I'm tired of your bullshit. It's not actually like, Jesus Christ, can you imagine, like, doesn't Ben Shapiro have a fucking film company with his fucking thing?
Daily Wire.
Can you imagine their version of it? Or maybe even worse, like the big studio version of it where McClane is made to check his privilege or some fucking bullshit. But the way they just do it is like, look, this is just what the guy would say. And if you think he's out of line or whatever, but the film is not saying, it's a funny line, but the film is not saying, yeah, man, he put that guy in his place because he hasn't really oppressed him. It just seems like something he would say. And you can kind of take it or leave it. But then the way, they figure out and it's just like,
and it's killing because us as the audience as well. And then we're kind of, because Zeus is kind of seeing so far up until this point that he's the one who's figuring everything out.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But then McClane gets his score on the board.
McClane,
yes.
Yeah. And the way that's the moment they kind of come together.
They give each
other the high five. Yeah.
And then because what I think is funny as well is when they leave it, McClane just goes, he's hungover, he goes, fuck, and he leaves the bomb. And then because you're like, oh, lovely, they're going to be friends now. But then you get the feeling, Zeus looks at him and goes, a kid could pick that up.
Yeah.
And and McClane's like, and then he makes jump back.
He goes, you're right, Joe, I'm not going though. Yeah. Fucking great, No, again, there's just some little moments of interplay. I think
it might be a good point. Like, we'll continue on with the film and stuff, but the chemistry between Willis and Sam Jackson is
sensational.
It's as good as any duo in any film ever.
Yeah, no, like, really, 100%.
Because a lot of this stuff, a lot of the jokes, a lot of the back and forth does not work if that chemistry is not there.
Yeah.
So even if Willis might have been an arsehole on set or whatever, they obviously got on with each other.
Seems obvious. Yeah. It's just so good. Like the way I just remember how much we were laughing the first time we watched it, and it was like that feeling when a film just has you and you're like, this is firing on all cylinders. This dialogue's great, these guys are playing it great, the situation, the way it's all set up.
So obviously what happens then, so they figured out the jokes and whatnot, and then they're leaving to go to the next Yankee Stadium, I believe. Yeah, they're sent just in terms of Jeremy Irons' this is his plot, it seems like it wasn't necessary that they survive the bomb at the fountain, just in terms of the logic of it, because the next step is they got a Yankee State and everyone's out looking for the bomb in the school anyway. So it doesn't seem important to him that you keep McClane alive. Up until then, it's necessary. Because I think so. I understand what you're saying, but I think there is a certain amount of it is playing. He does want him to suffer.
I think it'd be better for there's definitely like an element to that, but I think just in terms of like the plot of McClane can die for Simon at any point now because the cops are still out looking for the bomb. Because when they go to Yankee Stadium, which I didn't catch this the first few times I watched it, but because I'm a fucking Egypt, but. It is just like he's supposed to look at that clue and then they're supposed to get shot by a sniper. Like there's no clue there. It is just the end game.
Game over.
Yeah. So some people are mad into their fucking the plot logic of it. I think the plot's is this the best way to distract the NYPD? No, but I mean,
obviously, but it's an action film, so we accept.
Yeah, and it moves so quickly.
And
it's
like, for instance, like
it's plausible enough.
Yeah. It's not. You don't have to disconnect so much from reality yourself.
Yeah. And it's such an intriguing idea of like a guy's calling up.
It's not what I call an here lads moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when you're watching something, right, and you're halfway through, it's brilliant. You like this, and you go, here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then that's it because you've lost.
I do remember watching this with me dad, and he had a ton of those. Like, I don't know if it's that part of the country, but I have a cousin who grew up like his dad stayed in the area, and he is fierce he loves stuff like fucking Naked Gun and Top Secret, but in a movie I'll get into the bit with me dad, but my mates are like, come on now, that wouldn't happen. I'm like, well, what's your point? But we get to then so
they steal the bike. They
steal the bike. Yeah, this is a bit, and this is another one of those brilliant McTiernan and composer moments.
Yeah.
And I didn't cop it for a minute until I watched the DVD, and I think Hensley references it. It's such a because when you're just watching something, it doesn't occur to you how much effort someone has to put into it or how difficult something. The kid goes, "It's Christmas, you can steal City Hall," and the music goes dun dun dun, but it cuts to a completely different shot of Willis, and it's like a very long lens that tracks around him, and it's a camera movement to show he's just realized something, and it's brilliant cinematic language. Like it's just fucking great stuff. So that's when he cops, okay, there's something very serious going. Like we've been duped. Yeah, we've been duped here. Yeah. And it's just, again, it just plays, man.
Because like obviously then what happens is this is where they return to Wall Street where the bomb exploded.
They go back, and
so then you kind of realise what's going on. What do they have a lot of in Wall Street?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Banks. Yeah, and that's what's this stuff? Catching, just talking in riddles. I love this. Me and my brother used to laugh our asses off where they're cycling because they steal the kids' bikes. There's a little hidden line that you wouldn't normally hear. The kids like, you're stealing my bike. And I don't even know, it must be Zeus who goes, well, it's Christmas. Because the kid had said earlier it's Christmas. There's a great moment where they're nearly hit by a truck and Willis goes like, why don't you just run over everybody in the whole street?
Yeah. Just I
know, I fucking just think that's great. And then he goes, what is it that doesn't have? And again, it makes no sense why at this point, there are moments in the film where like the logic kind of breaks down. Like of all the buildings, why does he go into the Federal Reserve Bank? Apart from it says Federal, but you just go with it because you're like, well, look, he's in the area. Maybe it's the only one there. It's all
because I mean, there's multiple banks, but obviously, like I mean, especially if you know the American banking system, your run-of-the-mill bank even back then would hold maybe cash, but nothing like gold or anything.
Yeah, you could maybe say, like they just didn't show it, but like when you're watching it for like the first time, you would never cop it, but you could maybe logically say, well, it was the closest one to the bomb site, so it's the obvious one. But the way he goes in and then they split up and Zeus and I really do like these moments because in that moment he brings the bomb over to the fake cops. And the guy, I do actually have the meme saved on my phone where the guy is on speaking in German. His videos like, the black man is coming towards you, like this horrible kind of like, whoa. But there's some great moments there where he goes, I'm afraid I'm going to need an answer on that issue. And I actually have that saved as a GIF on my phone because it always stuck with me. Because he's like, I need an answer on that issue.
He's on the phone, he's like, 1 second.
But that's a nice little moment. But Iron says, and he's embarrassed because he's with your man Targo and your one who's sex on legs, and he goes, let him go. And he's just like, I don't really want to kill the guy. He just does it, and it's plausible. And it isn't just like, because
at the end of the day, even if he wanted to play with McClane, it wasn't part of it. As genius as his plan is and how he rules the whole entire New York Police Department, it was not part of his plan for Sam Jackson's Zeus to end
he
up
doesn't really have it. He just wanted to fuck with him, but he's like,
he wants the money and he wanted to fuck with McClane. He doesn't care about.
Yeah, and he does. We'll get to that maybe later when he does eventually say, "Look, I'm going to kill you now." But and there's the great little moment that people remember of the guy doesn't want to ride with the bomb, and the other guy, the other guy is like, "No, take it." Some kid's
gonna find it.
And I was like, that. Even at the time, I was like, "Oh, that's a nice little moment." Apparently, we're kind of jumping ahead here, but they did have major issues with the ending. And an ending that I thought, when I laughed out loud when I heard it, because that's the bomb that opens and you have to put the 4-gallon jug on it. Apparently, there was a gag where like they just kind of forgot about that bomb or they didn't know what it was. So the villains are escaping on a plane at the end. And then someone opens it. And then it would apparently cut to the outside of the plane and someone goes, does anyone have a 4-gallon jug? And then the plane blows up. Now, would that have been a satisfied ending? No, but it made me laugh. I think
it probably would have been too on it's funny.
Well, if they'd killed Simon separate to that, and then you just have someone, I wonder what happened to the rest of those guys, then it might have worked. But I remember laughing my ass off when I heard it.
Yeah.
But then we get into Will, and there's a wide shot of Willis when he walks into that bank. And I just think he looks like the coolest fucking guy. He's absolutely mashed up and he's covered in oil and blood. And I was like, this is the fucking guy right here. But the guy goes, you all right? And he goes, yeah, it's a laundry day. And I say that all the fucking time. And that was apparently a Willis ad-lib.
Yeah.
But the way that guy is so ingratiating and pretending to be American. And I just find it, the first time you watch it, you wouldn't notice it. But when you watch it again, like he says, it feels like it's going to rain dogs and cats later, which is wrong. And I never copped this ever until I read, he calls it a lift, which is wrong as well. Now, so this is the scene I was mentioning earlier where I don't think Willis turns, I don't know what the fuck they're talking about, critics, when they say he turns into a Superman. He does not. I actually think this scene is indicative of growth of the character from the first film. Because he's a guy who, by this stage, has killed people and knows he's okay with it and is okay at doing it. And he realized, now you could maybe say ultra realistically, how does he know everyone in that lift with him is someone he has to annihilate? Yeah. Or, he seems very sure about killing all these people. But
this is where he goes back to the lottery numbers, isn't it?
Yeah, because he sees the guy's badge. And that is brilliant. That's another fantastic, one of those moments. It seems like an innocuous
throwaway thing from the start.
I know,
credits, and then it just comes back in.
And again, the way the camera's like moving around him. But what's also brilliant is it goes from this like... But then it cuts to like a nearly identical shot and you're like, what were the lottery numbers? And you're like, this is a fucking guy who's okay, and I know what the next minute of my life is gonna be like here, and the way he goes about the lottery numbers, and again it's a give. Again, you could say plausibly, he says, "What were the lottery numbers?" And everyone in the lift would have known them, and none of them know them. And he's like, "Okay, you're all dead." And the editing in that scene is a little weird, but it's very
violent. A very good thing because it's a very small elevator.
Yeah, and they're all like 1,000,000 foot tall.
Yeah.
And he's fucking pretty.
And he's this height compared to.
Yeah, and they're all towering over him. And but you're like, he's like, I'm getting out of this fucking lift. Don't know about you. I'm getting out, and I don't care what I have to do to get out of here. And he gets out of that fucking lift, and that was another scene that was very heavily edited. The version I would have grown up seeing, and it was always a little weird. Like I was like, how did that happen? Because there's a really bloody shot where like he kind of, I don't know, it's weird. It's really nice actually because he kind of obviously presses up against the last guy. The guy doesn't speak English and like blows his fucking head off, but you don't see it. There's just all this, but it's very evocative. And that shot wasn't in the version I would have grown up. So you were just like, how did he get out of that? Or the guy actually behind him who he keeps headbutting, I'm still a little unclear. I always took it as like his own bullets ricocheted and killed him. But it is just chaos in that, and it's really violent, and it's hardcore. Like it's that's
the most violent part of the film.
Yeah, and Hensley on the commentary track says, he's a violent man who lives in a violent world, and that's just. And I was like, that to me is logical character growth from a man who's been through this before, and is like, I've been through this before. Even in the first film, he didn't seem to have a problem with killing people. Everyone says, "Oh, it's very realistic," and it's not like it's a proper. It's believable. It's not but he's not Stallone or anything.
Intense realism.
Yeah, but yeah, that scene is again. I just love the down to earth kind of feel of like, and the logic of why does he get out of that lift? Why is he the last man standing? And the film answers that question. And I find it annoying in action films where you're like,
they just won because they are the hero. Yeah, and obviously that's always the
obviously good trumps evil and all this stuff.
Or you'd have cunts today like, oh, fucking plot armor, and I'm like, yeah, well, obviously it's fucking plot armor because he'd probably die, like, but I mean, you know, in terms of a dramatic film, he got out of there because...
I mean, if we were to go down get into the rabbit hole of why it should...
Yeah, you'd be here all fucking day, yeah.
Every action film that's ever been made would be finished in the first 4 minutes.
Uh-huh.
Let's call a spade, like.
Yeah.
You have to be able to detach from reality.
I know,
Not so much that you're like, like we said a few minutes ago, but...
Yeah, I'm going to borrow that from now on, yeah. So then I think we get from out that, it goes into kind of hyperdrive territory again. This is what I mean, like, I think the change up in the theory of the film from like the game to more of a heist or kind of... I just... In the finished film, it works. Whether you can say like, oh, it's not as consistent, but
it's not a lack of inconsistency. The thing that, because I mean, it does work. It does turn into more of a traditional Die Hard film in the second half rather than the first half.
Yeah, I do remember another criticism was he's not in an enclosed location anymore, and I was like, well, all right, fair enough. Like that was
the whole city.
He wasn't really trapped in an airport. An airport's pretty fucking big in the second one. Do love the second one now. Don't get me wrong. The second one. My thing was first one's a masterpiece. The second one's top tier Hollywood entertainment. Third one's a masterpiece, and then I ignore all the rest. If it wasn't released on Laserdisc, folks, it's not a real Die Hard film. So this is the point where they realize it's a heist.
Yeah.
And I love the bit where Zeus tries to rob the gold bar.
Oh, yeah.
That's really funny. And I do actually, McTiernan on the commentary says it was kind of a fuck-up moment, but there's a tiny little moment that happens in a wide shot where McClane notices it's his friend who's dead. The guy whose badge got so, and I always thought that made the moment a little more impactful. Like the fact it was just, and the way Willis acts it is brilliant. He's a brilliant actor, Willis. Like he was fucking brilliant, and he's very underrated because he made action films. But he's so fucking good. Like, and if it's the Laserdisc was behind you there, but I don't think in the Last Boy Scout he plays a similar kind of down on his look kind of character, and he's so fucking cool in it. And again, it's that underdog, kind of thing. He's sensational the way he plays it. So then we're off to they break into the Yugo with the gold bar, and
is that the name of the car?
Yeah, it's a Yugo. Yeah, and I always thought they must have been sponsored by Yugo because there is a line in it where Sam Jackson goes, "It's a Yugo. It's built for economy, not speed."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Do you have to get that in there, boy?"
Yeah.
Did Yugo sign off on it because he said it? And I like that line again. Again, it's like kind of like an action moment, but it just works the way he goes like, can you hotwire this? I can't, it takes too fucking long. You're like, nice.
I'm an electrician.
Yeah, of course I can. I'm an electrician, yeah.
Because it's not, of course I can, I'm a homeboy. Of course I can, I'm an electrician.
Yeah, they play
I have a reputable job.
Yeah.
And it's very funny because then they switch cars because they're going on the chase to try and find the dump trucks.
Yeah.
And then they
need a better car because they want to get the mobile phone as well.
Yeah, and this is one of them funny lines. This is one of the funny because obviously they take the car and your man's going mad and he's like, the motherfucker, whatever he's saying, he called him whatever.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, wait till you see when he looks in the back of the car, and he went, oh, fuck.
That was my gold bar, yeah. Well, there's a great, actually, because they'd figure, it's earlier in the film, but they're told, Jeremy Irons says, what's 21 out of 42? And at a certain point, they figure out that he must mean the 21st president. But when they hijack that guy's car and they're driving off, and he goes, hey, who's it? As if like the guy had answered.
Yeah.
But that's what made it funny, was it? What, like, if it were, again, I hate to be just like knocking, but like, in a Marvel movie, they'd say it ironically, but in the film, Sam Jackson says it as in like, oh, that guy might know.
Yeah, exactly. And then the guy that does know is the most, you would never think.
I know, that is, we'll get to, that is genius the way they set that up.
So obviously then they switch cars, they've gotten the phone. And they're now following, they're trying to contact the captain.
Yeah, they spend a lot of time on this, and it was just kind of something. It's not something that ever bothers me, but even at the time of the film, they had to work around the mobile phone thing. But at the time, like nowadays, it might seem ludicrous, but in the film, they drive into a tunnel and they get cut off, and it's like, oh, it isn't that. But it happens so quickly, you don't really notice. Or they just start getting cut off at the most inopportune time, and they spend a lot of time. They actually have characters in the 911 office, which are very well done. Again, like your one who's going mad at the sergeant.
Yeah, when he explains to her that we're getting all the calls.
And that's all just there to set up why he can't talk to the captain. But it's done again so quickly that, and I wouldn't have fucking probably noticed, to be honest. Like just have no phone or just have no radio. But like, plausibly, I suppose, at the time. But then a lot of this driving stuff in that car is fucking great. They get a lot of mileage out of that Mercedes, like where he goes, this thing have airbags. My side, your does, but I don't know about. And the way it cuts and it jumps off. This is the bit where they're chasing the trucks and they're wondering where the fuck they're going. And this is again where the plot gets a little bit wonky, but it happens so fast. They stop a truck that's completely unconnected to the plot. But the guy somehow still kind of knows where they would be going anyway. But I suppose you kind of say, well, they're heading in one direction. It would have to be somewhere. Yeah. This was a bit that my dad, I think, went to, now. And there's they stop that truck and there's a shot where it's obviously a steady cam in on McClane as he kind of draws his gun. And it was in all the trailers. And again, he just looks so fucking cool. I was Jerry in the truck. Yeah, the bit that made my dad.
Over to Joe Zaloon.
He was great. Yeah,
he's brilliant in it.
This is the bit my dad went, because he goes, I open the truck and your man's there and he's like, you a truck driver? No, I'm a beautician. Of course. And my dad was like, come on. He wouldn't say that. I was like, I don't know. If I could picture some heads in Dublin saying that. Like,
you make your dad sound like Ardal O'Hanlon.
Yeah, he would have sounded like that. Yeah. He was, he loved movies actually, but he didn't kind of jive with the later. He wouldn't have been, he would have known who Bruce Willis was. He watched the film. He'd be like, oh, that foreign game soccer. And then he'd be watching fucking soccer all Saturday, Sunday. But this guy, Jerry, they kind of go into it later, but he's just so brilliant. And there's plenty of equivalents all over the world. The working class guy who knows way more about fucking history than a history professor, who will just fucking talk shite at you all day long, but you can't help but love him. And it's just a genius.
Because he as they're driving through the tunnel, or
he's giving them the history lesson.
Now this is 1964, but it didn't break ground until 1976.
And then the genius, the payoff is tell him to find out of the 21st, and you're like, of course he fucking knows, and he even knows more about him than he needs to, and it's like. Genius. I can't
even remember who the 24th president was.
Chester A. Arthur.
Yeah.
Did you know he was the chief of?
Yeah.
Now we're kind of coming to, so they're chasing him through that. So somehow Jerry has they somehow intuit that this must be where the trucks are going. The plot in this point moves very quickly, which is good, but it's very wonky.
Because obviously Jerry just appears back in the middle of the city.
I think now, to be fair, some more time is meant to be passing, but it just moves so quick.
Yeah.
But they get it. Now, this is a scene that I think is very funny and I think is very cool, but it is like a moment, the only moment where I'm like, okay, maybe McClane's a little too cool for school, where the two guys are waiting in the truck and he just goes up and blows them away without a second thought. And I was like, how did it? Because he didn't do that to Jerry. Like, he would have murdered an innocent man if he'd done that. Yeah. I was like, how did he know first? It does kind of bother me, but the dialogue is so funny where he goes, Mickey O'Brien, tunnel security. You see a guy coming through with 8 reindeer? Yeah. And the way it is a little callous, the way he's like, they said he was a jolly old fat guy. Like, the guys are there and they're dead. Like, it is a little, but it is so cool. I kind of but it is the one moment where I'm like, he is a bit of a superhero in that. Like, he couldn't have known for sure that those were and it doesn't bother me that he kills them in basically cold blood. Like, that's fine. Like, look what these guys are doing. All bets are off. But I was like,
it's just how he knows.
He couldn't possibly have known for sure,
especially because if you think of John McClane, if you think of the character of John McClane, after realising that he got in the truck with Jerry, that man wouldn't automatically assume the next truck would be just the character wouldn't. He'd double check, he'd make sure. Whereas he doesn't.
I get it's funny and they get away with it, but I just love the logic of how Jerry knows exactly who Chester A. Arthur is. Because it's important that McClane knows so he can tell Zeus later, because that's the school his kids are in. Brilliant. And then I think the cops are fucking, again, very well done, very realistic the way they're looking through the city, and they're trying desperately to fight. They're just people
trying to keep it off the news.
Yeah, they're people at work having a really shitty day. That's just how it comes off, and they all get these little moments throughout the thing. And so then we go to he's chasing, and he has a little back and forth with Simon on the radio, and he's giving him shit.
And this is the point where Targo is like, just kill him.
Yeah, what are you waiting for?
Just do this. And this is at the same point as I believe Zeus is in Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, and he finds the clue and he's like, oh fuck, but the guys are like, no, we can't kill him.
Wait, there's only one of them and all this. And then they're really into, because you see McClane get up to where the dam is. Yeah. And so you see it's a dam, it's fine. But then you don't go, oh shit, until right, you know what, we will kill him. But wait, stay there. We're gonna blow the dam.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a little shout out to that moment because I remember noticing it like one of the 5th or 6th time I watched it. He rarely does the obvious thing with editing or with his shots, McTiernan. So it started raining by this stage. It was the hottest day of the year, but then the way they do the rain in this film is brilliant. Him and Targo are obviously very philosophically different, and I like that interplay with him. But he goes, he sees the bomb and he's like, wait. And it's just a wide shot, and it's from behind Jeremy Irons, and he's showing, he goes, we drown him. And I was like, 9 directors out of 10, like probably including myself, they ever had a fucking stroke and gave me the money to make it, would do like a close-up. We drown him. He just lets it play out in this long moment, and it's like, that works. Yeah. Nice. Because we can talk about
sometimes you can over-direct, or you can over...
Yeah, or he's like, well, I'll let the actors do the cut, you know, or I'll let his delivery do it, or who knows, maybe they just ran out of fucking time, but it's, what I like about it is it's different, but it works, and it works in a way better than the other one, because we'll probably talk about movies that try something different, but it's like, I see they were trying it different, but it doesn't quite work, does it? Whereas that moment and little touches like that, I'm like, that sings, that plays. We're coming again now, so McClane is very lucky because something that would have let him drive a bit further down the tunnel and made him get drowned fell out, like these little...
Yeah, the panels on the
which I like the touch of how heavy they are, because you wouldn't think it. So he said, now he does do a fucking like 180 turn in the truck that's maybe a little implausible.
Yeah.
But people, and even on the commentary, he was saying like, oh, he's here kind of surfing the truck, and I'm like, yeah, he's not really surfing. He's on the truck while it's being caught up in water. Like, I mean, you know. Like it's just a kind of cool, exciting sequence. I love the way he gets shot up through the water.
Yeah, it's very funny.
That's very funny. And the way
you see,
the way Carver,
he's like, what?
Yeah, what? He's like, ah! And then this is maybe my favorite action scene because it is intercut with them in the school, because they figured out by now which school the bomb is in. The scene of them getting chased in the rain by the guys in the kind of 4x4 and they're in the Mercedes. I just think that's fucking sensational. It's just so exciting, and the way it's done, and the way the sniper fire, and he just has to jump in the fuck. It's like, let's go. And they're so frantic, and it's just all bets are off. Like, geez, we're in a real fucking pickle here. This is a scene I wanted to talk about where apparently this was the scene they thought they would get in Zeus's backstory in the script. So on this, I'm not saying now this is absolutely exclusive to this Laserdisc, because as far as I know, it's not. They have a clip in this where it's obviously in that scene where they're in that car, and I'd imagine that I'll get to what's actually physically on in the video of this in a moment. But they were obviously having like, why do you hate cops so much, or why are you a racist to Zeus?
Yeah.
He's given the bit in this that's deleted from the film starts off with McClane going, if he was in a crack house, he was dead already. What are you talking about? And so they're obviously talking about Zeus's brother. I forget how I copped that from the scene. And then Zeus goes, he wasn't there to take crack. He was there to find me. My guess is that they had a backstory for why Zeus hates white people and cops, because his brother was killed in a crack house by a white cop, and his brother was there innocently saving Zeus from a crack habit. And to put it mildly, I did not need to know that. And it would have been a waste. I mean, granted, fine. I'm very happy they deleted it. That would have sucked. You could kind of say it does this or that. And the way, I kind of admire that they're like, because they do have a lot of dialogue in that scene that's important for the plot. That's really, it's really cool the way it works, but it's plot stuff. It's not character stuff.
Yeah.
What really tips that scene over for me, I love the way it's in the driving rain and all this. When he fucking gets him to rip the thing out and then he does the 360. Yeah. I just think that's the coolest thing I've ever. And the editing in that is insane. But just the theory of it is, I'm tired of this shit and fuck it, it's been a rough day. Let's just try something nuts. But McClane is a competent guy at fucking people up as well. Yeah. So he's got this confidence in himself, but at the same time, it's kind of a Hail Mary, kind of fuck. But the way they do it and the way that shot of him shooting the gun, and you're like, yeah, he's killing those fucking guys. I just think that's it's really good. It's really, and it's not your usual. It's like, that's probably the best action moment in it. It's two cars shooting guns at each other.
Yeah,
I miss that shit, man. I just miss it. Like, it's just so well done. And then the funny bit. Where he goes, what are you doing? I'm interrogating him. What's he going to tell you? I'm dead. And Willis is like, Well, I won't know till I ask him, will I?
So obviously it should be noted at this point as well. Simon has contacted the radio show.
Yes.
And so
the whole city's in a panic, yeah.
Yeah, because obviously the police are trying to keep it under wraps up to this point, but obviously that comes away when Simon informs them. That's only just something that I think is just important, so you know, kind of.
Yeah, and again, that's kind of that's more for the fucking up the communications point of view, but it does add to the tension of the school scene later on. Yeah, I have to say I really like how they give. And again, this is a problem apparently everyone had. It's like that should be Willis at the school. But I like how much time they give to the side characters because they really are just...
Yeah, like Graham really comes into his own in this sequence.
They really are just regular people who are like freaking out and trying their best. I just say... And obviously the school principal...
I thought it was a great point. Obviously, the fact that he's talking about why aren't you in school and all at the start of the film.
Yeah.
And it turns out that that's the
he
skill.
Puts the noose around it.
And it's just pure... And the fact that I think it's great is because it's just pure coincidence.
Yeah, and it's. I remember actually when we watched it on that VHS thing when the two kids are there and they decide to run off, and I remember someone go like, "You fucking idiot!" Like these fucking dumb shits. But it just adds to that tension and the way the cops have to go in then and get them, and just again, I know kind of from a strictly like what this film should be point of view, it probably should be McClane, but it gives it that nice kind of atmosphere of
this is just logically how this would play out.
Yeah,
these
McClane's
cops
not
are
even
brave
there.
too.
Yeah, they're brave too, you know.
Because there's some unsung heroes, like we mentioned them already, but Kevin Chamberlain as the bomb guy.
Yeah.
Like, there is a moment, obviously, where as the bomb is, when they've evacuated the school.
Yeah, he's very brave,
Yeah, and he makes the choice when he hears he's about to leave.
Yeah.
There's still 2 people in the school. There's still 2 children
he
in the school.
decides
And he
to
goes,
stay.
Right, I'm staying.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Graham Greene and Colleen Camp go in, and you know I love how the janitor throws him the keys, and I'm like, all right, mate,
well, you didn't run in like
gonna open the door, but that's it, just very well done. And it seemed to be shot in a real school building. It's not like a movie school. Very, very nice. So I think we go back to our boys, and they're trying to get onto the boat. Yeah. And they've that funny moment where they're sliding down the yoke and it cuts the guy in half, which is
that's very good. That was very funny.
That was very funny.
Because it's not a great. It's a sort of graphic.
Yeah, moment, but the whole moment is kind of slapstick without being slapstick. The way they fall, it's just kind of like, again, believe the way it's like, oh, I'm glad you talked me out of jumping, because it's like it looks like the way they're mashed up, and not in a kind of movie way. They do just look like people who are like got fucked up throughout the whole film, and like they look at, so they're on the boat, and they decide to split up in true movie. They were under the gun now, to be fair, and we get a nice little moment where he's like, you don't know how to shoot a gun, and he's a racist motherfucker. No, and McClane actually, you have to say, fucks him over because he doesn't take the safety catch off.
Yeah, which he should have.
Yeah, which is
but it kind of adds to the
well, you wonder, did he do it because he didn't want him to shoot it? But then I'm like, well, why give him the fucking thing? Is it just
I think it is funny though, because you can see in terms of just what would be a couple of hours in like the film's real time, and the difference between him with the gun at the start and how calm he is.
I remember always liking the fact he would have killed Irons. I remember thinking like, this guy's not fucking around. I remember that being kind of
because
a nice
he's grown. He knows, he understands what he's after ending up in, and that the certain things that. Whereas McClane has had 2 films to come to terms with this, he's had to do it in this film.
Yeah, well, that's actually the whole way they treat that. Like, so McClane he kills a guy by like slamming him into a door, and he just shoots it. Like the guy actually said, "Don't shoot," and he shoots him. Yeah. But like,
and that's what Targo says to him.
He says, "Don't shoot."
And he goes, and Targo,
he kind of says it in a moralistic kind of a way. Targo, I like what they did with that character.
No, because you see it a lot with the bad guys and some of the henchmen and stuff, like, because they do have more. It's like if you remember in Pulp Fiction when the 2 hitmen are going to murder people and they're talking about hamburgers. Like they're not constantly sitting there plotting.
Yeah, no, they're just people doing stuff. Yeah. I think there's a bit where you hear one kind of shouting like wolf whistling, "You're one, the sexy female." Like they're just people doing like obviously something very heinous. And then the way he fights Targo, like that's a bit choppy actually. But I kind of like it.
A lot of these kind of films end with. Not the main bad guy, but the secondary heavy getting into a fight.
Yeah,
like it's happened in Lethal Weapon with Gary Busey and Mel Gibson. It's happened. It happened in the original Die Hard, the guy with the long hair. And these things happen, but this one seems a bit Like you think you're about to get the big fist fight, but it doesn't happen. It's kind of
I do like how he is just like whacking the guy, and he's like, there's no beauty to it. Like McClane is not a fighter, but he is just someone who's like. No, one of us is going to die, and it's not me. It's going to be you, motherfucker. And how violent, because he's just like whipping the guy with a fucking chain, and he even says like, you don't think I'm going to let you get to that gun? He's like, it's kind of cruel, isn't it? But like the position he's in, how else would he act?
100%.
Yeah, and then I just love all that, the handheld stuff, like from McTiernan, that's sensational. And then we get to, again, another one of the big, so he's like, it's building to this crescendo of like the bomb's gonna go. I remember being quite tense, like you're like, oh fuck,
really
yeah. And again, I understand the instinct, but I'm like, look, Willis is off, and they're off doing their best here. That's what they need to be. It doesn't really bother me that they're
not there.
It's not a fatal flaw.
But especially what we're about to find out, they didn't need to be there.
Yeah, that is again one of those brilliant moments where the score and the shots and the editing work together.
Yeah, because like, obviously he cuts he has to cut. It's seconds.
Yeah,
and so
and the thing sprays out.
Yeah, and he has to cut it, so he cuts it and sprays them, and it's like what's it, cherry lemonade? Or something like that.
Caro syrup or
syrup. Yeah.
But the look on Willis's face when he sees the bomb is out, and he's like, oh fuck, because he's like, I should have seen this coming. Yeah. Brilliant. And I love that scene with him and Irons, because he just Irons gets the better of him because he's just given up. Like McClane is just collapsed. He has his gun and everything, but he's just like, I can't be arsed.
We find out though as well about the double cross because apparently they're on the ship and the ship is to be exploded.
Oh, we've completely forgot about this. Yeah, so the idea is that they're supposed to be blowing up
because it's going to affect the markets and people in the Middle East.
And of course, like anyone with a fucking brain, Simon's like, I'm not doing that. Your man Torgo is obviously a real ideologue.
Oh yeah.
Fair play to him. Like, but I really like the scene with him and Irons. Like the way Irons, I remember he goes like, your brother was an asshole, and the way Irons like kind of go, I guess he was, but he doesn't like do an obvious shift. He kind of goes, he was, but there's that little split second where he's like, didn't like that, did not like that. But he goes, he was not, and he goes, I love the way he goes, you got his number. The way he said that, I was like, that's fucking kind of brilliant. Then our boys are tied to the bomb, and this is again where just that little realism kind of where Zeus is like, what the fuck, man, why are you killing me? Like, and he goes, well, I didn't invite you on this ship. And like in his business, it's like, that's sorry, man. Like that's just the way the fucking cookie crumbles. Like, I can't let you off now. Like, what the fuck, like. And again, like just that little moment where in the later films, it's the kind of thing that fell flat. But the way McClane goes, "Hey, fuckhead, yeah, you fuckhead." Like it's not clever, it's not funny, but he is just like, I'm not. Why would I bother to think of something clever to call this guy? And but he was like, got an aspirin, got a bad fucking headache all day long. And the genius of the following scene is it's about picking the lock on the. I really like the way that they got the lock.
Now, should we know though that he does give him aspirin?
He does, yeah. He throws the bottle of and he goes, "Your lucky day,"
which is kind of the biggest mistake he's made in the whole film.
Yeah, really the only one. I just think the way they set this up, the whole way that they get out of that situation, I just think is great writing. Because they slid down like a cable, we kind of glossed over this, and there's a bit of it still stuck in McClane's arm, and he's to like reef it out with his teeth and spit it onto Zuza, which again is like weirdly plausible.
Yeah.
And that is the kind of thing that would open handcuffs. There's no shot ever of Zeus actually picking the handcuffs. They're just having a personal one-to-one conversation.
Yeah.
And Zeus is laughing at him because he didn't bother calling his wife back and all this. And the way... at the emotional climax of the scene is when it's right there. And you're like, oh, so McClane is out. And then he drops it. And he never see a shot of it. And it's just him going, oh shit, fuck, I dropped the thing. That, of course, is when the bomb starts mixing. I will point out now, we haven't gone on enough tangents on this one, I think, Keith. There's a critic who, as far as I know, works in New York, who is a gay, black conservative. And he
great mix.
Yeah, he... I wish I could remember his fucking name, but he was kind of a famous, nearly contrarian. He famously said Norbit, the Eddie Murphy married to an obese woman that he also played movie, was like the best comedy of the last 20 years or something. Armand White, that was his name, Armand White. he had a huge problem. He really doesn't like Sam Jackson because he, as I say, he's quite a conservative. So I haven't kept up with him much now in the Trump years. But I found his stuff kind of interesting because he was definitely not the usual kind of mold. He doesn't like Sam Jackson because he equates it to like this nearly minstrelry of like the bug eyes and like all this. And he singled out the moment in this where he tells Bruce Willis, just go, just get out of here. And he's like, that's like the black man, you know, putting the white man first and all this. And look, the guy...
I think at this point, I'll let you finish, sorry for the interruption.
No, go on.
I think at this point, it's not the black man letting the white man go, it's the man.
It's the decent guy.
It's the human.
Yeah, he was always that guy.
Nothing to do with the colour.
He got involved in the first place. Yeah, I mean, look, you can kind of say, oh, it's all political and, you know, fucking bad. But I'm just like, look, I'm just reacting to this as seeing this person in the situation seems plausible to me. But I just thought it was kind of interesting. He really had a problem with Sam Jackson. I think as far as I know, he hated the whole film because he was like, oh, it's, you know, you're laughing at his blackness, you know, the way he's kind of, you know, mad-eyed and all this. But for what it's worth, bring it up. I think that moment's great. I will also say the way Willis gets him out of handcuffs is fucking genius. The way he uses the liquid. And it's so obvious.
Yeah.
It's so obvious. But it's like, how many people have you seen just break the handcuffs or you don't even know how they did it?
Yeah.
And it's so plausible and it fucks up his hands.
Yeah, that's the best part about it.
Yeah. And he can barely run out of the place.
Yeah, because you have to get shot in the leg, remember?
Yeah, and again, just the way they run off the ship, the way it's so handheld and so choppy and unusual, and then they dive in the water, they're kind of reborn after the explosion and all this. Like, again, McTiernan just never kind of does the obvious kind of thing of doing it, and I just really appreciate that. Like,
and then obviously, right, so from what it appears is the bad guys have won, they've gotten away. This whole sequence of where they're choosing how to celebrate and what they'll do and a drink for our fallen comrade. Yeah,
they do tie in just quickly before that, like he tries to get McClane to call his wife, who is a big plot thread from the
because it's constantly mentioned throughout, and then he decides as he's on the phone collect call, he decides to take one of the aspirin.
Yeah, and he sees
Lenord
de Ligue or something like that. And it's actually fine. I like that. I think that's okay.
Because that's it. Because like I said earlier, it's the only kind of mistake that he's made. In the whole entire film, because what happens is that's where oh shit, now I know where you're going.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's this is the ending is a reshoot, and it's pretty like if you know what to look for, it's pretty obviously a reshoot. Like that was not the original ending. It's in a way it's not really disappointing. It's fine because the rest of the film's so good. But like the original film, the last half an hour is the best half an hour in any film ever. Like nearly certainly in any action. For all the fans watching at home, yes, I've seen John Woo's Hard Boiled and it's probably better. But like just in terms of like storytelling and action filmmaking combined, the last 30 minutes of Die Hard is perfect.
It's fantastic, yeah.
This is a little lamer and it is a little bit not as thought out, and it's like, okay,
it's almost like a fourth act.
Yeah, that's
what it feels like.
It's kind of...
It feels like an ending after the ending.
Yeah, there's a few clever lines, like Sam Jackson is still there. I like the line, say hello to your brother. That's kind of cool. He gets to say Yippee-ki-yay. But you can just tell, like, it feels a little rushed.
Yeah, so obviously what happens is he's on the phone to his wife, or he's attempting to ring his wife. He sees the name, and then he leaves the phone.
He leaves the phone ringing.
It's actually quite a good guy.
Which is nice. Yeah, that's good.
So he leaves her off, and then so obviously they're celebrating their victory, and they're in Canada, just north of the border. And then obviously...
McClane, who has no jurisdiction whatsoever, shows up in a helicopter with Zeus for some reason, which it doesn't bother me, like, don't get me wrong.
But obviously what happens is the orange character goes off with Katya, the Sam Phillips character, to have
she's like a singer or something, which is amazing. Yeah.
She's been in maybe 2 or 3 things.
She's sensational. Like, just the way she moves and everything, like, it's a real character.
Like, she has up to, like, I believe what I saw was she has 16 full albums and up to 30 more credits in terms of singing. She's not she's a pure composer singer, as well. Yeah. Like, so Gilmore Girls and things like that.
Really? Jeez, she's so sexy. I'm sorry, I just have to stop that. She is unbelievable. I'm very on Team Irons here. I love the scene, actually, we did skip it, where she kills Targo because she's on Team Irons, and it's been played up the whole time. Like, you can see she's kind of on his side, just the way she looks at him in certain scenes and all this. Really nice.
She's really talented, because I mean, obviously it takes great. If you have a character that doesn't speak any lines, obviously you need a great director to be able to handle that. But you also need, again, it's like beat a dead horse. You need someone who can do it.
No, she put
and like she's only a little slip of a thing.
I can't think of any bad performance in this film. She is brilliant. Like, she's memorable. I remember I did watch this with some friends in Hong Kong who'd never seen it, and they're a couple, and I remember the wife was kind of like, "Oh, geez, she's hot." Some British like, "She's hot."
So
like, yeah, fuck yeah.
Obviously, what happens as well, it's a bit poxy about the ending, is they obviously jump into the helicopter.
Yeah.
And then it's a case of he gets the biggest gun, and there's something, if I'm not mistaken, he could just easily kill him, but he hesitates or something, or holds off.
I think
the
final moment, is kind of a typical, like,
he hesitates.
Dun, 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 and he gives Willis the split second.
Yeah, because
like,
you have McClane, because McClane looks at the side, he looks here, he looks there, he looks there, and then he's like, I'm going to just hit that. And
which you kind of need for the moment to work, I suppose, but it is a bit of a move. But before we get to that, there's an interesting moment when they're all celebrating. I want to get your take on it, where one of the guys goes to fallen comrades, and Jeremy Irons kind of goes, "Ooh."
Yeah,
and I always, I think, read it as he's like, "Are you giving me shit about Torgo?" But I think it's meant to be he's thinking of his brother, or I'm not. What was your interpretation of that? I still think I stand by. He's kind of taking it as like a dig of how Torgo was killed.
Yeah, I would.
But I don't know.
No, even the way your man looks and the way they're making eye contact. I completely think it's about Torgo. Okay. I didn't get the feeling at all.
I think Torgo is from Plan 9 from Outer Space. I think I'm saying the wrong name.
But no, but it's not far off. It's Torgo.
Okay.
But maybe Torgo in the accent.
Yeah.
But no, I don't. I never got the feeling that he's thinking about.
Yeah, again, it was an interesting little moment, because it didn't need to be, and it stops the scene. You know, it is like
a pause. There is a few seconds.
It's
and
interesting.
Then he goes, yes, to fallen comrades.
Yeah, to fallen comrades. Yeah, I just always thought that, again, they just throw in these little kind of socially awkward moments that kind of work. But yeah, the way I really do like the line, "Say hello to your brother." It's a real kind of 90s, 80s kind of move. Yeah, and then he gets to say "Yippee-ki-yay"
after the explosion.
Yeah. Out of the other, because there's a deleted ending on the DVD, and the guy, the Jonathan Hensey does a commentary. It's like, "Oh, this is actually pretty good," and I'm like, "This is fucking terrible." I don't know if you've come across it, but what it is the film would have cut and then cut to like months later, and they're in essentially Eastern Europe. And Willis has tracked Jeremy Irons down to like a kind of a cafe there, and I'm not making this up. It's actually, like, the way it's shot and everything is very professionally done, and the actors are good, but he's tracked him down. He has become like kind of a smug Bruce Willis character. Yeah. He's like, "I killed 2 guys here. I killed another 2 guys there. I found you here. I tracked you through it was the aspirin bottle again. I tracked it to this one I think it's in Budapest or something like that." Yeah. He goes, "You forgot I'm a cop, didn't you?" He says, "I got a riddle for you." And he pulls out a fucking rocket launcher, which he's taken the markings off. So you can't tell which way the rocket's going to go. And he says, "If you can answer my questions, when you can't answer my question, I'll let you have to push the trigger. But you can turn it whatever way you want." So it's kind of like this, and he doesn't know if he's pointing it at himself or at McClane. And he asks him like riddles, and Irons is figuring them out. And then his final one is something like, "What did the terrorist not bring that would have saved his life?" And he pulls out a gun and makes Irons pull it. And Irons pushes a button, and the rocket shoots out, goes through Irons and blows up behind him. And then McClane goes, "He forgot his fucking flak jacket." And he walks off, and I'm like, that is fucking awful. Get that shit.
That would have made this film. That's an almost unforgivable ending.
It is like as underwhelming as the current ending is. That is a different film. Like,
because at the end of it, like, once he gets the Yippee-ki-yay motherfucker on, and then there's a nice moment.
He does say that.
You left your wife on hold.
Yeah, and he gets the collar. Yeah, which is kind of a big through line from the other films.
Which I love about action films of these kind of 90s era. And that's it.
Camera pulls back, he's out there. Yeah, that first ending, like, I was just reminded of apparently William Friedkin. He made a film called To Live and Die in LA, and they made him change it where, okay, maybe the main character doesn't die. They got abandoned to Alaska or something, and apparently he saw it and he goes, "Get that fucking shit off the screen." And I had the same reaction to this ending. I'm like, this is a different film.
Yeah.
And I don't like the McClane character, and apparently that was a note, was he's too mean, and I'm like, yeah, he is. Like, I mean, it was an interesting idea. Again, like, you know, he's kind of gone nuts. Like, that day has driven him kind of mad. But it's such a fun film that doesn't really kind of carry. And it was awful. I thought the other ending made me laugh out loud, I gotta say. But the recent Mission Impossible film, the way they killed the villain, and that made me laugh out loud. But 2 seconds later, I was like, oh.
Yeah, but I haven't seen that.
He does. Spoiler alert. But like, it did make me go, ha! And then I was like, I did kind of like him though. I didn't like the character, but I thought he was a good villain. I was like, that's kind of disappointing, you know.
Right. So, what would be your non-submersible units? You can't say the whole film.
Damn it. Certainly Sam Jackson, no question. The scene in Harlem. I think the absolute number one has to be the scene driving the yellow cab across Manhattan. In the public consciousness, I think that's where the film lives. And we didn't actually harp on about this too much, but I think this is a secretly deeply beloved film, because I said to one friend of mine, we were talking about this, who I hadn't known was a huge fan, and he said, that might be my favorite Die Hard. There's another friend of mine who we talk about it all the time, and we've actually he was over here and I was like, we watch Die Hard? Yeah, stick it on. There was another guy who I was writing a script donkeys years ago, and I said, I kind of wanted to have a feel of, you've seen Die Hard with a Vengeance? And he goes, oh, brilliant. Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah. And I do think this film is, having said that, I mentioned it to someone at work, and is that the one in New York? I was like, yeah. It's pretty good. Like, so I have to say, like, how many does it need? Like Bruce Willis, Sam Jackson, Jeremy Irons. I think Jeremy Irons is he's just like kind of he's no Hans Gruber.
No, that's what I'm so glad you said that, because he's just not as good as Alan Rickman.
Yeah,
I don't think he's meant to be either.
Yeah, he's something a bit. I like the genteel. I just kind of like
a bit campier or something. Then
yeah, and I just kind of like, I miss villains who are like, I'm afraid. He goes like, I'm afraid this is non-compliance, and I'm like, I like that, you know. Yeah. And it does speak to, like, obviously they're both kind of silver spoon British actors, but like it speaks to, like, they were educated in English, probably studied at Oxford or something like that. I would put him there, and for me, the car chase in the rain. That is not, I doubt most people would even remember it, but for me, I'm just like, I just think it's so fucking cool, man. Yeah, so... Yeah, and New York. The way they film New York.
New York is, again, because we speak about this sometimes, is like, New York almost as a fucking plot point or a character. Mm-hmm. The fact that it's actual New York location, it's not some battle. They
actually went there,
and that makes it, like, that for me, I agree with you.
Yeah, they really drove through Central Park. Yeah. How the fuck they got, like, nowadays I'd be god awful fucking blue, probably very good blue screen, but it wouldn't be the same. It
wouldn't have the sense of...
They're on the real streets. They just have these... McTiernan has this very unusual way of filming things, with very wide and unusual angles that bring in the city. People will say verite, it's not really, but it just puts you there. Yeah. And
then I think as well, I agree with you with the scene in Harlem. Mm-hmm. Like, for instance, like, I don't think we spoke about this earlier on, but like this part as Zeus is crossing the street and John McClane sees him, just that look of...
Yeah,
like that look.
Yeah, I'm so pleased, because it's just that little moment.
It's just a second, and it's like that's like Oscar worthy. Yeah, that's like total cinema.
Yeah, he's like, I see where this is going. I know where this interaction is going.
Because he makes his dishevelled face look worse. Yeah, it's like just for a split second, it's just and it's just that's brilliant. Amazing. But and then another one as well, because obviously Sam Jackson and Willis are great in it, but I think the chemistry of them together is really
big time. Because that'd be a separate category nearly. Both of them and then together. Yeah, like, just amazing.
Both of them individually and together. Yeah, because without that chemistry, I don't think it works. And then I think as well, in terms of the bads, I know you were saying about Jeremy Irons. I'd say Katya, the Sam Phillips character.
Really?
Yeah, because I mean, I know for different reasons. Because I'm just afraid of her. You just want to avoid her. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
But I just think for a character with zero dialogue.
Mm-hmm. Oh, she's brilliant.
You might be on screen for about 6 minutes, but she is so memorable, and like when you look back on them, you don't forget her.
No, yeah.
And to have that to not be a traditional actor, and to have that presence. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I mean, this would be just saying the whole film, but like I know I've talked about it a lot, but John McTiernan's direction, like how out of the box it is, and if anyone wants to look him up, he's a very precise theory of how he films things. Like, one shot leads into the next shot. He doesn't just like to cut, in a traditional sense. Like, the whole thing should have a flow. He does seem like a difficult character. So
I mean, I think it's probably a moot question given the past hour or so or 2 hours.
5 out of 5.
Yeah, exactly. What would you give it?
I 5 out of 5 easy. Yeah. Now it was in there. We were talking earlier about the scale. Like Die Hard is better. Die Hard is just a better film, but there's something about the heights that this film reaches that they're both equally beloved to me, and I love the second one as well. But the second one is like, that's a really good standard action film, like an excellent standard action film. These are like a cut above, like just the way, like, and again, just that scene in the yellow cab driving through Central Park,
fantastic.
Like, that's what you want. Yeah.
And then in terms of what I think it'd be, would it go as hard to say 5? I don't think so. I think 4.5. I think it's almost a perfect movie.
I'll let you away with it.
I think it's almost a perfect movie.
Where would it fall? Apart from the ending now, which even I'd faulted for, where would it lose a half?
The ending is definitely a part of it where you're kind of like, everything else is so cool and polished and great.
Yeah.
Even the scenes that are meant to be polished, like the handheld stuff and everything, like, but they just work.
Yeah.
Whereas, and then the ending is a bit. And then I do have to be honest, I think there's a certain point, there's a couple of minutes, because it does bring you back in, where you see Simon for the first time, and it's kind of like, well, you've just ruined it now.
The mystery's gone.
Yeah, the mystery is gone. I can see behind the curtain now. And so that one, that's the reason. But it's not enough for me to in any way say that it didn't make me enjoy the film or not. But it's the reason I can't give it that.
For me, those and again, I do just love the film. But for me, the fact that when you meet him, he's up to something else, kind of. That'd be my reason that didn't even register for me. But look, I mean, I'm not going to fault anyone. Like because again, like I just get depressed. It does have a very high audience rating on both the sites that I mentioned, but I was like, come on, critics, get with the net. Like, this fucking thing is sensational.
But it wouldn't be the first time critics dislike something and then everybody else loves it.
No, with this again, it'd be interesting. Like, I'd like to see from the reaction for this. Like, is it many people's favorite one? Is it one that you're like,
so that's something like, obviously let us know in the comments, let us know on Instagram, let us know on TikTok what you think of it.
We're on all those platforms, and
that's not a bad way to leave it. Like.
No.
So obviously, thanks for watching, thanks for coming along this journey with us. Obviously it's early doors, but hopefully it's gone well so far.
We hope you're all enjoying.
So what I'll do is, rather than give you all the individual socials and everything, I'll just leave them in the description below, okay? And if you could just do us a favour, wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, just leave a review, like the podcast, follow us. Same with YouTube and all the other socials. I'll link them all below, and then you would not believe the difference that could make you following rather than anything else.
Please like and what films would you like us to talk about?
Yeah, let us know. We're open to suggestions.
We sure are. Send
Unless
us
it's the fifth I had.
All right, help us. Good night, everyone.
Thanks very much. Bye-bye.